Right now, 35 million people under winter weather alerts from the mid-Atlantic all the way to New England. 13 states under winter storm warnings, and Winter Storm Ember is just getting started. We do have 6 Weather Channel crews stationed across the Northeast, bringing you live conditions as Ember intensifies and unleashes that heavy snow across the region. Good afternoon. I'm Justin Michaels, live for you in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we're outside of the Pennsylvania Farm Show. This is a 108-year-old tradition, and they say there's farm show weather, and this is it, snow. It's snowing right now, and we could get several inches more. And in fact, if we hit 4 inches of snow here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, we're going to break a 1,069-day streak of less than that, meaning we've got a long way to go until that happens, but it probably will, unless I know a lot of central Pennsylvanians are hoping it certainly does. You may notice that the flags are flying at half staff here in Pennsylvania. That is for Fire Chief Gene Vance from Steelton, Pennsylvania. It's not a national emergency. It's a remembrance of that fire chief and what he did for his community. And this is the first day of the farm show, so they wanted to honor him there. I will tell you, bus after bus, car after car, there are thousands of people inside the farm show complex right now for this 108-year-old tradition that is the Pennsylvania Farm Show. And I will tell you what, when they leave, if they've been in here since this morning when it was not snowing, they will have quite a surprise as they're driving home. Taking a look out here right now on Cameron Street, one of the main roadways that go around and through Harrisburg, you can see plenty of traffic, people leaving the farm show complex, but also plenty of traffic on Cameron Street and people going to all the different parking lots around the farm show complex. This is a very busy event. It's going to stay busy. It goes through all the way next Sunday is when it finally ends. And over the years, there's been this old wives' tale that farm show weather happens every January when the farm show comes to town and it's snow. And it's certainly doing it this year. In reality, if you kind of take the 108 years, only 40% of them had snow for the farm show. But still, it is something for me, someone who grew up here. We've always heard about farm show weather, and that's happening right now. The snow. People were expecting it. We've been forecasting it. Winter Storm Ember is what this one is. And there's great concern about not just this storm, the huge swath of snow going through Pennsylvania to the Northeast, through Scranton, into New York, up through New England, but also what's next. Winter Storm Finn is right on Ember's heels, and the great concern here in this part of the country is not maybe the blizzard conditions they may be getting in Chicago when Finn comes through, but here in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, the flood threat. Because what's going to happen is temperatures are going to rise, rain is going to come down, all of this snow, whatever it totals out to be, will have to melt and melt quickly, and there's already a great concern and warnings and watches related to any flooding that may happen, whether it's river flooding or flash flooding. We have concerns about that. The Weather Channel has you covered. Ember and Finn and everything that comes after it, because Dr. Postel, we do have some very concerning weather. Dr. Postel, as I send it into you, let's take a look here at the kind of snow. So we're talking about snow that's not easily packed. It's pretty dry right now. You can blow it. So it's not heavy wet yet, but I know depending on where that snow rain line sets up, you could get that heavy, wet, slushy snow that is so backbreaking. And in fact, they call that heart attack snow, Dr. Postel, because you got to be really careful when you're shoveling it. But right now, it's a very cold, very dry snow as far as the conditions here right now. We'll watch them change throughout the day. Dr. Postel, they want at least 4 inches here in central Pennsylvania. They want to break that 1,069-day streak. Do you think we're going to do it?
In order to know that, Justin, I have to ask you, how much snow do you have on the ground right now? Do you have a ruler?
Well, I do. You know what? It's in the car. Somebody's going to send me a nasty note. It's in the car. I promise I'll get it, though. And we will start taking readings off of some flat surfaces because it has been building up here pretty substantially. So we'll measure it, then we'll wipe it clean, and we'll start over, and we can give you some snow rates as well.
I think you got about 2 inches at least on the ground. Would you say that's fair?
I would say yes. I mean, take a look here. You can see my footprints in the snow. Could we have 1.5 inches, 2 inches? I think it's certainly possible at this point. You can barely see the tops of grass here in the circle outside of the farm show complex. So not too far from now, that's going to be fully covered up. So probably about 2 inches.
Yeah, and so your 4-inch question, I said, yes, let's go for it. You know, the Weather Service for Harrisburg has an 87% chance of getting 4 inches plus with this snowfall event for the entirety of it. So, Justin, I think we're looking good with that. Thank you very much for that reporting. Good. Let's have a look at the bigger picture, because we know that there's a lot going on. New York State right now has deployed over 1,600 snowplows to deal with up to a foot of snow piling up in the state. And similar efforts are ramping up in Pennsylvania, with PennDOT implementing speed and vehicle restrictions in the Commonwealth today. Travel's also taking a big hit, with numerous trains canceled along the vital I-95 corridor in the Northeast. This is a pretty sprawling system. It's not just impacting Pennsylvania and nearby Maryland. It really extends all the way to parts of the Mid-Atlantic and even back toward the Midwest. We're seeing some flight delays in Chicago. Wow, this is a big system, and it's only really kind of in its early stages of its life cycle. And what we're seeing really is pressures only now beginning to fall kind of noticeably on the weather map. If you look at the weather map, you'd be like, where's this powerful area of low pressure? It might be hard to find, but we're starting to see those 3-hour pressure drops. They're starting to fall here in northern North Carolina and northern Virginia to the tune of about 5 millibars in a couple of hours. It's not incredibly deepening rate, but still, we're starting to see more lines popping up in here, and that's a sign that the amplitude is increasing. In other words, this thing is getting stronger and the pressures are beginning to fall. So that's a sign that the system is now in its growth phase and bringing some very bad weather with it, with rain, a mixture of rain and snow, even some freezing rain in spots, and of course very heavy snow in the highest elevations of West Virginia, Western Virginia, and Western Maryland and Pennsylvania, of course. Here's some observations. By the way, Harrisburg reporting last hour quarter-mile S+, which is a quarter-mile visibility and heavy snow accumulating probably about 1 inch per hour at that rate. So it's coming down, and it's going to continue to come down. Philly right now, a little bit of light snow, but we're going to go over to rain. There's no stopping that rain-snow line from moving northwestward through Philly. And we're going to go to rain there, as well as in central New Jersey as well. Not so in northwest Jersey, I don't think, or in southeastern New York State or central Connecticut. We're going to likely remain all snow with this, and it's closing in on the region now, but don't necessarily equate what you see on the radar to the surface conditions, because it's snowing aloft, but the air is so dry that snow is evaporating before it hits the ground. That's why the radar looks like it's snowing, but you're seeing at the observations at the ground, we're not quite seeing it yet, but it's coming. Have a look at this, right? By 2 o'clock this afternoon, here it comes, the rain snow line. You can see it for yourself. A pretty stout east wind is going to absolutely be effective at converting us over to rain. Coastal plain in New Jersey, the Pine Barrens, I grew up near that area. It always goes over to rain when you have an east wind. There's no stopping it. Same thing in southeastern PA as well. Likely Philly by this evening going over to all rain. Farther north and northwest, it is going to be snow, and I think it's going to come down real hard along that zone later on tonight and early tomorrow morning. There's going to be a strong frontogenesis aloft. That's fancy talk for the fact that some warm air aloft is going to be surging on in, and some of the colder air aloft not wanting to get out of the way. There's going to be a battle taking place. That's oftentimes what happens in the early stages of the life cycles of these extratropical cyclones, and you get that, these frontal structures that can produce banded heavy snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour, and I think we're going to see that tonight inland, not along the coast, but inland. And then we get another opportunity of some very heavy snow for a kind of a different way. I'm not going to explain exactly how, but we're going to see the area of low pressure get a lot stronger. Yeah, tomorrow morning, and then thereafter tomorrow afternoon as it moves in that direction. That is going to turn some of that wind to the north. And whatever cold air is available in northern New England will come rushing in behind it. So those of us along coastal Connecticut, how about coastal Rhode Island or even Massachusetts? If we've been rain for the first half of the storm, we could go back over to snow for the second half. Mark, that sounds great for the snow lovers in New England, don't you think, with maybe some 8 to 12 numbers coming eerily close to those coastal sections?
It is right up against some of the big cities, that's for sure. So we'll see. We'll see if we can change over those cities to snow, or how much of that mixing really messes with the snowfall totals. We've been looking at Harrisburg as one of those key examples. It was 33 degrees with heavy snow as of the last observation. So heavy snow, and it's fallen, it's making it through the atmosphere, but the surface is starting to warm a little bit. So how much of that mixing moves in to the Harrisburg area? Some of the models, including this one, changes it over to all rain by 6. That might be a little bit optimistic. Maybe we'll keep the snow a little bit longer than that, but you get the idea. We'll rob some of the snowfall totals, especially on the south and east side of the Harrisburg area, compared to the north and west side, where it stays just a little bit cooler. Everything's done by tomorrow morning across this area, and then, you know, the plows will be out there and cleaning things up. But another 4 inches to go still, north and west, 1 to 2. In the Harrisburg area itself, which would put you right up against that 4-inch line. It's going to be real close. And then south and east, not much remaining, because the modeling is suggesting we're going to warm up and we're going to have those mixing criteria coming in. Here's Scranton, Pennsylvania. No mixing here. We are going to stay as all snow for the duration. We've got heavy snow in the forecast. That rain snow line approaches and then backs away as the cold air starts rushing in on the west side of the storm. You might even go back over to some heavy snow for a while tomorrow morning, and it ends with some flurries by tomorrow afternoon. So you've got a long duration snowstorm on the way, northeast PA, and that's going to give you a widespread 10-inch snow. For some of you, 5 to 7. For a lot of you, 10 to 11 is not off the table across this region. That includes, say, High Point, New Jersey, southern upstate New York, northeast Pennsylvania, western Connecticut. Now, speaking of New York, and you heard Doc Postel said he grew up in the Pine Barrens. I grew up right about here, right about there. Hey. Okay, so, you know, we were neighbors, more or less. I-78. Always seems to be the cutoff for the rain snow line. So pick out I-78 and there you go. You've changed over to rain. North and west of 78 staying to snow. South and east of 78 rain. And so that's going to be your cutoff. New York City, mostly a rain event on this one, and until the very end when you might see a snowflake or two, and then the cold air comes in. So for the totals here, New York, womp. South Jersey, nada. Northwest PA, Dr. Postel, pretty good when all's said and done.
Yeah, you and I are Jersey boys originally, Mark, and we know this setup is not good for snow east of I-95. But let's have a look. You're right about that. With Winter Storm Ember right now delivering its snow to Pennsylvania, here's some of the recent obs. And when I was talking to Justin Michaels, we'll get to him in a second, I sort of outlined that maybe he had about 2 inches on the ground. That is being reported across parts of south central PA. These are some of the biggest numbers brought to you by Jensen, our weather producer. Awesome job there. Thank you, Jensen, for that. And right now, we're going to send it back over to Justin Michaels, who I know has a ruler with him, right?
Here it is. It's green and it's ready to measure. You ready? Dr. Postel, you are probably a genius because we are just shy of that 2-inch mark. Do you see that, Dr. Postel?
I do.
So there you have it. 2 inches here. Yeah.
It looked like a 2-inch amount from here, Justin, but thank you for that confirmation. Keep that ruler handy. We're going to need it.
Right. I will, and you know, this is actually a really great spot for us to do some snow rate testing and also keep gauging how much snow has fallen, because this is flat, it's undisturbed, it's been fully exposed the entire day, so we'll keep measuring up on this concrete wall here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show complex. We are at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. It's a huge agriculture expo. It's the largest in the country, certainly the largest in Pennsylvania, and it's just to celebrate and draw attention to our ag community across the United States. People come in from all over. Hundreds of thousands of people will attend it over the course of this week. There are many thousand here right now. It may not look at it like it, but in the building there are thousands of people. So we're talking about those thousands of people who will eventually need to travel home, and they're going to be using highways like 81, 83, 581 around the capital city of Harrisburg, going across the Pennsylvania Turnpike, 76. So lots of people will need to take not just those primary roads, but also secondary and tertiary roads to get home. And PennDOT is out in full force across most, if not all, of Pennsylvania, salting, plowing, doing everything they can, but use a lot of patience, because remember, they can't plow all the roads at once. There are 4,700 people out and 2,200 trucks across Pennsylvania doing everything they can to keep these roads as clear as possible, but they're working against Mother Nature. And if you know anything from watching the Weather Channel, that is not a good scenario. You can't fight Mother Nature. She wins every time, including during Winter Storm Ember, which is coming down right now. So like we saw with Dr. Postel, we have about 2 inches on the ground right now. We know more is coming. Will Harrisburg, especially Harrisburg International Airport, break that 4-inch mark, a streak that hopefully, for many people here, believe will fall after 1,069 days. Time will tell over the next several hours, but Looking out, you can see we have decent snowfall rates. You lose the horizon not too far from where we are right now. You can see cars coming up and going down Cameron Street, Mark, and I know that you're tracking a totally different kind of weather, a tornado warning on the ground. Go for it, Mark.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. As is often the case with big winter storms, you go far enough south into the warm sector and you can get severe weather this time of year. And you have to go pretty far south than this one. South Florida, new tornado warning has just popped up almost right over I-95, which is bad news for travelers. It's a popular travel time of year here in winter going down towards South Florida. Whether you're on the Turnpike or 95, you might not exactly know where you are and compared to the storm. So have one of those apps that tells you where you are. Martin and St. Lucie, you've got a tornado warning. Radar indicated spin. That warning goes until 2:45. We're following some severe weather in South Florida. You're watching the Weather Channel. We're mostly covering the winter side of Ember, but we also have some severe weather popping right over I-95. New tornado warning has set up shop. It's crossing over the Turnpike and 95 right now. This is Martin and St. Lucie counties, and we are seeing some pretty healthy rotation using the technology, using the radars in the region. Now, right in here where you see, and Jensen circling it along with me, we've got that kind of green and blue color right next to the red. What this tells us is that we've got one wind direction going this way and one going the other right next to each other. That's our counterclockwise spin. That's what the radar is seeing and suggesting that we have that potential for a tornado. So we're timing out that rotation. It's literally on top of I-95 right now, which is terrible news for travelers because you usually don't have great awareness of the weather when you're flying down at highway speed. So hopefully if you know anyone traveling here going down towards South Florida, you can let them know that this storm is right there. Then it'll be going over the Turnpike in about 15 minutes or so. It'll get all the way to Stewart by 2:40 and A1A just after that, approaching the top of the hour. So that's the storm we're watching in South Florida. I want to go back now to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where our more traditional winter weather is still flying. We've got Justin Michaels there in Harrisburg. And Justin, the snowflakes continue to come down.
They really do. Visibility going down too, Mark. Looking off in the distance down Cameron Street, you can't even basically really get, I mean, I don't even see the next stoplight down there, and there is one down there. So basically between two stoplights, we lose visibility. So we've got a decent amount of snow falling. It's going to continue to fall for the better part of this day as Winter Storm Ember comes through. You can also see plenty of traffic. If you're just turning into us, we're standing outside of the Pennsylvania Farm Show, a 108-year-old tradition. There are thousands of people here. Despite the snow, there's thousands of people inside the Farm Show complex. You can see buses and cars dropping people off, picking people up, and inside thousands of people. Many of them may have been here for the better part of this day before the snow started. So when they come outside, they're going to see that Ember has done a lot of work while they were inside, making the snow build up. And they're going to have to get home in it. So PennDOT has as many as 4,700 personnel on the roadways around Pennsylvania, 2,200 pieces of equipment as far as plows and salting goes, other equipment for brining and other things that they'll be doing to try to keep the roads safe. But remember, almost the entire state is being impacted by Ember right now. So they can't get to every road every minute. Sometimes you're going to maybe come across a state road that hasn't been plowed yet. Give them some time. They're going to get to it eventually. It's amazing to think when you look around Pennsylvania, 96,000 snow lane miles is what the PennDOT tracks and has to take care of. 96,000 miles of roadway, and that's some of the multi-lane. So just think about that. That's a lot of roadway to manage during a storm that's really impacting most of the storm. So, Dr. Postel and Mark, we've got plenty of snow falling, and I know you guys are also tracking the very next storm, which is Winter Storm Finn, which is going to cause problems here as well.
Yes, in a kind of different way, Justin, you're right. This next storm early next week is going to bring snow to the Midwest and rain to many of us in the East where we're getting snow right now.
By the end of this one, you might be Dr. Storm. This one's going to be touching just about everyone east of the Rockies.
No rest, no peace for those of us, right, in the weather business. Because, look, early next week, a powerful area of low pressure is going to be cranking up in the southern plains and moving in a very different trajectory from the one we've got now. This is the kind that brings snow to, like, Chicago and Kansas City, and more rain along the coast in the east.
One of the biggest differences is that while this storm got a lot of hype, right, a lot of early season excitement for the potential for snow in areas that really haven't seen snow in a long time, this next one could be stronger, significantly stronger.
Yes, and when you look at the ensemble mean from the European Center's model suite, they run these simulations many times over. And when you average them all together, the idea is to extract the signal from the noise. And the signal that's coming out after all that averaging is still a low pressure system by early next week, well, even midweek, 980 millibars or lower. That's low on your home barometers. That's a lot of wind for a lot of people.
And so we're going to see probably every type of weather with this next one. Rain and flooding and severe weather to the south, but maybe blizzard conditions on that back edge.
We got to watch out for that northwest quadrant of this thing because it's going to get windy and very snowy there. Does look like perhaps northeastern Kansas, northern Missouri, Iowa, Illinois into Michigan, and of course rain and some severe weather on the warmer side of things as well.
It's been a long time since Chicago has seen a really good snowstorm, and this might be it.
It could be it. Again, the track could weeble.
Yeah.
Weeble
That's
or wobble.
a word.
The weebles. You know what? Yeah, it could bobble and weave a little bit back and forth between now and then, as you know. But Chicago could be in sight for some big snows.
Meanwhile, all the snow that has fallen in the Northeast because of Winter Storm Ember, which we are still covering, is going to be rapidly melting along with heavy rain. So a flood threat on the way. We'll be right back.
It's a cold, hard fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel. Trusted to expertly time out your conditions.
This is the system that is headed your way.
Trusted to be the team that keeps you as ready for winter as we are. It's why America doesn't trust winter coverage to anyone else.
Thank you for staying with us live here on the Weather Channel. We're tracking Winter Storm Ember as this first of two winter storms we're very concerned about and following closely impacts the Northeast. The next one is Finn, and that's going to bring a whole other series of problems that Mark Elliott and Dr. Postel will tell you about. But Ember is the one we have to get through first. This is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It is snowing here, has been since probably 10, 11 o'clock this morning. And something you need to remember is many states have laws dictating that you clear off your roofs on your cars and the hoods of your cars because that can be a deadly proposition if you don't. Jessica's law here in Pennsylvania requires that you do that. So it's not just clearing the windows and saying, okay, I'm not going to deal with the top. You can see our weather beast here. We got to do better with that, and we will. But an easier vehicle to show you what we're talking about is our security officer, Jake's car. And Jessica's law dictates that you do this, okay? The whole roof of your car needs to be cleared off. And I will tell you, if you're doing this for the first time, you moved up from the south, you've never been in this kind of weather here in central Pennsylvania, it's easy to do the roof first, and then you do the other flat surfaces. But you start on this side. Lauren behind the lens is probably going to stab me after this live shot because I'm going to run away from her for a second. But I'm going to go, Lauren, I'm just going to the other side. Stay there. You got to go that way. And you clear this off, okay? Make sure you're doing this. 1, it's nice to the person behind you. 2, it's required by law to clear these cars off as best you can. That includes the roof. And by the way, I'm not using some high-dollar, crazy snow wedge, whatever you can get at Advance Auto Parts. I'm using this cheap thing that I got from the rental car agency, okay? This isn't great, but it works. Then get your hood, get your windshield wipers all cleared off. and just clear it all off, because you don't want this one blowing in your face or the people behind you. This will all come off, especially if we get rain later today. It will freeze and it will turn into a sheet that can blow off and truly negatively impact the people behind you, if not become a deadly problem. So just take your time, go around. It doesn't take all that long. During the course of this live shot, which is only about 2 minutes or so, we are clearing this entire car off. It's really not a huge investment of time to stay safe. And like I said, Jessica's law in Pennsylvania requires that you do this and makes it against the law, Dr. Postel. So, Dr. Postel, I've got to finish Jake's car, I've got our Suburban, and I've got to do the Weather Beast. I've got a lot of work to do, so I've got to get it back into you.
Busy man, Justin. Yeah, stay that way. You're doing a good deed. So thank you very much for that. Let's have a look at what's overall with this winter storm plaguing not just the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. My goodness, this snow extends back into the Midwest. Chicago, actually, seeing a little bit of snow. We saw about an hour ago there were some departure delays out at O'Hare and still some unsettled weather in the Midwest. But let's have a look more closely at what's going on here in Western Virginia, West Virginia. You can see the back edge of the snow moving rapidly from southwest to northeast. So it's really shutting down quickly in that kind of way. And overall, the storm is moving that direction, so you'd expect it. But we're still dealing with some pretty heavy rain right along the coast and heavy snow once you get inland, especially in south central PA. Right now, Harrisburg reporting some moderate snow, Reading light to moderate snow, even some heavier bursts in there. So perhaps accumulating 1/2 to maybe 1 inch per hour in some spots. And it looks like it's going to continue for at least a couple more hours in south central Pennsylvania. Now, Philly, about 20 minutes ago, was reporting light snow. Now we've gone over to rain. We knew this was coming. There's no way that Philly and other areas in southeastern New Jersey are going to remain snow. If it was snowing earlier, it's going to go over to rain as the maritime layer, the marine layer, moves on in with an east wind, warming things up just a little bit, enough to either keep you all rain or convert snow to rain, I think, along certainly and east of I-95 and probably even west of I-95 to some extent. Look, we're starting to see radar echoes getting more and more, I would say, deep blue here, suggesting aloft, anyway, it's starting to snow harder. It's not yet reaching the ground in lots of these locations. It's called virga. The air is so dry, the snow is coming down and then evaporating before it reaches the surface. But it will reach the surface as we go through the afternoon and evening hours. I expect many locations in North Jersey, Rochester, Westchester, Rockland counties in New York State to start snowing, and even parts of western Connecticut as well during the overnight hours. And heavy snow, very potential here in southern New England. Just a little bit inland away from the coast, because if you're too close to the coast, the onshore wind probably keeps you rain. But then we have a shot, even for those coastal locations, very early tomorrow and tomorrow even early afternoon, as a powerful low pressure this system evolves and brings some cold air on the backside. So there's hope for even those of us on the coast who want all snow. We get some tomorrow as the colder air wraps in.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
New video now into the Weather Channel from Pittsburgh, PA. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You have snow is coming down there from Ember as well. We're talking about 1.5 inches so far has fallen. This was shot by a Penn State University meteorology student, and we're grateful that they did that. Of course, probably a good class project with this winter storm coming through. So we're grateful for their hard work to make sure we were able to document what's happening there in the western part of Pennsylvania. Here in the central part of Pennsylvania, where our state capital, Harrisburg, is, we certainly have plenty of snow falling as well, and they may have 1.5 inches there in Pittsburgh. Let's see how much, using our trusty green ruler we have here outside of the Farm Show complex, where the Farm Show Expo is continuing. What do we have here, Lauren? What's it say? Boom. About 2 inches still. I don't think that this has been touched by anybody at this point, so about 2 inches still. But we have a decent amount of snow falling. I mean, looking down Cameron Street, if you really look down, in fact, Lauren, let's go out to the road as best we can. You can see all the traffic. Remember, the Pennsylvania Farm Show, if you're just tuning into us, is an annual event. It always happens this week, every single year for the last 108 years. And despite the fact that we have a snowstorm coming through, people don't seem to mind. I can tell you along Cameron Street, you can see all the traffic. Also the shuttle buses, that's what that school bus is that's going to eventually go past. But looking down Cameron Street, you really should be able to see a stoplight down there. And visibility is so low because of the snow that's falling, it's really difficult to see the stoplight at this point. So we have snow coming down at a decent clip. It's going to continue to do this. I know Mark Elliott and Dr. Postel are tracking what exactly is going to be happening with Ember here in central Pennsylvania. Is it going to switch over to some rain later today? Where that rain-snow line sets up is critical. Definitely more west and north and east than to the south and southwest, southeast. But still, we're all going to be getting snow here in central Pennsylvania. Just matters where that line sets up and where you live, how much you're going to have to deal with. PennDOT is out in full force. They're working hard to keep state roads, Cameron Street and others, clear. It's difficult. They're dealing with 96,000 snow miles of roads. That means the lanes also on I-81 and 83, multi-lane highways. Those are all individual roads if you add them all up, as far as one lane being a road, if that makes sense. Adding all that up, it's 96,000 miles around the entire state of Pennsylvania, and they're responsible for all of it. So make sure you don't crowd the plow. Stay away from those plows as best you can. And if they haven't plowed your street or main roadways yet, I promise they're coming at you. It just takes some time to get through those 96,000 miles of roads. Again, looking down Cameron Street, you can see, even though they have had crews come through with salt and also plows, Mark, you can see they're still becoming snow covered. With every flake that falls, Mother Nature always wins, Mark, as you well know, and Mother Nature is certainly staying ahead of the crews trying to keep these roads clear. So we've got a long way to go. Mark, what do you think? Are we going to see rain? Nobody here wants it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we do change over. The forecast for Harrisburg proper by about 5 o'clock or so starts mixing in that precipitation, and you might have a little bit of everything happening at once. Rain, sleet, and snow falling for a time, but then transitioning over to some rain before the precip shuts off back as snow flurries. So, Justin, I think you're going to do the dance in Harrisburg, which will kind of limit some of the totals that you could otherwise see.
Ember can do the dance. Nobody wants me to dance, Mark. We know that. We'll have to see what happens with the storm. I tell you one thing, though. One thing people are watching, Mark Elliott, is that record 1,069 days. Today is 1,069 days since the last time this area saw more than 4 inches of snow out of one storm. That was February 1st, 2021. If we make more than 4 inches today, we'll have that streak end. Do you think we'll at least do that?
You know, you've been seeing close to 1 inch per hour snows approaching from the south. And, you know, it's pretty early in the day. We've got 2 hours or so, 2 hours and 15 minutes until that kind of forecast changeover time occurs. And you've already had about 2 inches of snow. So that would put you right there on that 4-inch line. It's going to be close is what basically the bottom line is. I think the official forecast was right about at 4 with decent chances of getting at least 4, right? So you're right there in the Harrisburg area. North and west, if you could somehow take that observation and put it northwest of the city, guarantee. South and east, not going to happen. So it's really close. It's really close for in town.
Well, I wanted to give you some perspective, Mark, so you know what we're dealing with here. Talking about the snow, at this point, it's still, is not a heavy, wet snow. It does not stay together. I mean, little balls of it do, but we're not talking about a nice snowball-making snow. So it's not that heavy, wet snowball-making snow just yet. But, Mark, if we switch over to rain, at least for a little bit, it's going to really weight all this down, and you're going to get that snowball-making snow. But right now, it's still pretty dry as far as snow goes. But yeah, I hope it doesn't switch over to rain. Nobody wants that.
I know. The cold rain is the worst, especially to stand in and report in. So for your sake, I hope it doesn't change over to rain. The radar is suggesting we're starting to see that south of town, where we're getting some what's known as bright banding. So the snowflakes are falling down, but they're melting as they're going. So the radar beam is returning what looks like gargantuan amounts of snow, but it's really wet snowflakes bouncing back more signal to the radar. So we're following all of that from in the studio using the technology. Justin and friends out in the storm. Keep it tuned here as we bring you coverage like only the Weather Channel can.
You're looking live now on the Weather Channel at Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Lehigh University, where they have a winter weather advisory. Of course, Winter Storm Ember is impacting much, if not all, of central Pennsylvania, most of Pennsylvania, really, all four corners of it. And Bethlehem is not alone in that. That's happening all over the place. Of course, more to the north, more to the east, more to the west. But we have snow in most places today. We do appreciate you staying with us. We've got you covered. From Ember to Finn is the next storm, and I know Dr. Postel and Mark are going to be tracking that for you, and that is going to be a very impactful storm in a lot of different ways. But we have to get through Ember first, and Ember is bringing plenty of snow here to the capital region of central Pennsylvania. That is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where we are. We're at the Farm Show complex because the 108-year-old tradition of the Pennsylvania Farm Show is going on. Yes, there are thousands of people inside this building, despite the fact that we do have a winter storm coming through. If we turn around, Lauren, you can see our trusty plow is doing what needs to be done to clear the area here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. You have to believe that these operations are going on all over the place, and the hard work being done by PennDOT crews, municipal crews, private crews, doing what they can to clear roadways, make them passable, because despite the fact that this is a Saturday, there are still plenty of people out. And of course, the Pennsylvania Farm Show is a good reason a lot of people are out. And they call this Farm Show weather. Yes, Farm Show weather is what, if you are from here, you know this is. There's an old wives' tale that it always snows for the Farm Show. I grew up about 20 miles from here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and we always heard that. It always snows for the Farm Show. Well, in reality, it really only snows about 40% of the time for the Farm Show, but we just go with it. It snows every year for the Farm Show, and it certainly is right now. So there's lots of people in there. Now remember, if they're in there now, they eventually have to come out, and they eventually have to drive home in the snow. And that is a big concern for PennDOT. So they're encouraging you to do a few things. Drive for conditions, slow it down, give plenty of room between you and the car in front of you. Don't crowd the plow. You may hear that a lot. It's kind of like turn around, don't drown. Don't crowd the plow. Mark and Dr. Postel is another good one to remember. And Dr. Postel and Mark, a good way to remember it is when you're following a plow truck, you need to give at least 6 car lengths between you and that plow truck. Stay as far away from them as possible to make sure they have the room to work, to clear the road in front of you, and make sure it's safe for you to pass and everybody behind you. Accidents happen every year, as you both know, and they typically turn deadly. When a car goes up against a plow, it's never a good thing. So give them some space. Guys, into you.
I see Justin has never driven in the Northeast, because with 6 car lengths, there'll be 9 cars in the Northeast in between the car and the plow. It's just people cutting you off every second.
But that does happen. It is the Northeast, after all. I mean, you got, hey, I'm from here. You guys are from here. You got to love it. It's all right. We make it through. We're all right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But you're right, Justin, that we do have to be extra careful. It takes so much longer to stop on a snow-covered road than on a dry road. You know, almost 1,000 feet of distance more would be needed. So that is a lot different driving condition than you would otherwise be used to without the snow falling.
Let's go to another storm and another kind of threat in the south with severe weather for us on Monday. Another winter storm. It's going to bring significant snow, but we're going to talk about early week severe chances here.
This might be one of those kind of marginal cases where we get some shear, but not a lot of shear. We get some, instability, but not a lot of it because the rain moves in pretty early, but enough that we've got at least a chance of some storms here.
You're right about that. That's a slight risk issued by the Storm Prediction Center for us on Monday. So that's something to watch. That's their day 3 forecast, I believe. And we have some of those ingredients. We're going to have winds aloft. We're going to have some fronts in place, the kind of things you look for severe weather chances. And of course, it's all setting us up for us in about 48 hours.
Yeah, I think what really takes off, though, is those mid-level winds. This upcoming storm is going to be a really strong, wound-up low, and that's going to be pulling in those mid-level winds around the system and really organize that kind of mid-level wind threat as it gets rained on and pushed down to the surface. I think we're going to have straight-line wind potential with these storms.
And even non-thunderstorm wind, high winds as well, because of exactly your point. This is a much stronger system early next week than the one we've got now. The pressure is going to tank and swirling around that very strong winds, not just aloft, but also at the surface, apart from any thunderstorms that we get.
Yeah, and then if you get that front rolling through and a couple of storms along it, right with those stronger winds, as this thing really cranks aloft and pulls that down through the southeast states, we're going to be pouring for a time, and then it's going to be windy on top of that, so power outage issues, a chance for some storms, especially near the coast, and an increased flood risk as well.
A lot of heavy rain is coming. The Gulf of Mexico is going to be wide open, and not just bringing heavy rain to the southeast, but also to the mid-Atlantic and northeast where snow is on the ground, flooding a serious potential.
Yeah, we're talking about High Point, New Jersey and northwest New Jersey there. We're seeing a lot of snow, then a lot of rain on top of that.
Pattern is dedicated to everyone who seeks to explore the world in new ways, share in its challenges and triumphs, and celebrate its most amazing moments. So join us on our mission to be informed and inspired. Look for Pattern in the Channel Guide, here on Local Now.
Happy Saturday, everybody. What a busy weekend it is. Right now, more than 42 million people under winter weather alerts from the mid-Atlantic all the way up to New England. We're talking 12 states under winter storm warnings, and as Winter Storm Ember is really just getting started here. We got 6 live crews stationed across the Northeast, bringing you live conditions, of course, as Ember intensifies over the next several hours and unleashes heavy snow across the region. Thank you guys so much for staying with us as we continue our live coverage of Winter Storm Ember. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele, coming to you from Scranton, Pennsylvania, where the roads are brined, cindered, and we're beginning to see snow shovels move off the shelves of the local hardware stores, although some of the residents here have been a little, I would say, hesitant about the reality that we could see maybe 5 to 8 inches of snow here, and it's understandable. It's been a while since we've had a good storm system like this. In fact, almost 2 years. You got to go back to March of 2022, where we actually had a decent storm that picked up 7 inches. All of last year, we only had 16 inches. So if we get that 8-inch category, we could be looking at half of the snow that we saw last year. A couple things I want to show you. Lackawanna County is where we're situated here in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and you really got, earlier today, the view was gorgeous up here on the lookout point, as they call it. Big spot you can come and take a view of the city. Old rail town here, of course, and that visibility has pretty much come to almost a halt here as our snowfall rates have really thickened up just over the past 2 hours. In fact, we were snow-free all the way until about 1 o'clock. And the roads, as we take a look at some of the local roads, again, some of the cinders on the city streets here, I noticed driving in, and we've got good pavement as of now, but we are getting some reports of wrecks on the interstate that I will get you guys caught up on here a little bit later throughout the show. But our winter weather, our winter storm warning is going to stay in effect all the way through your Sunday. We've got the heaviest snow falling now, but maybe even intensifying as we head into tonight. And then as we go into tomorrow, we'll get that cooler air to move through, and therefore we could be looking at maybe some lighter flakes on top of some of the heavier stuff we're getting right now. So again, forecast here in the Lackawanna area looks like Lackawanna County area looks like we could pick up 5 to 8 inches. And as we send it over to another city here in Pennsylvania, down in Harrisburg, where Justin Michaels is, Justin, I was looking at some of the snow reports that we have in south central Pennsylvania. We're already seeing 2 to 4 inch totals coming in.
Well, and we need that 4 inches here in the greater Harrisburg area, Jordan, because if we get 4 inches, which I know everybody here is hoping for, and it probably will happen, at least for part of this area, what that's going to do is knock out a 1,069-day streak of snow less than that. February 1st, 2021 is the last time they got more than 4 inches of snow here in central Pennsylvania, recorded at MDT, Harrisburg International Airport. So if we get more than 4 here today, then that streak will finally end, and people here are kind of hoping it does that. We're at the Pennsylvania Farm Show right now, and you can see this is a kind of a flurry of activity. It's a little quiet right now, but what I can tell you is inside the building, there were thousands of people in there. This is a 108-year-old tradition of people coming to celebrate the agriculture and farming community, not just here in Pennsylvania, but nationally. Farmers and people come in from across the country to celebrate the tradition of agriculture and farming here in the U.S. And of course, it's that industry that supports all of us. They're inside right now. This is a big event in Pennsylvania. It happens every year, and they actually call this farm show weather. There's an old wives' tale that it snows for all the farm shows. Well, it really doesn't, but it's snowing today, so it's adding to the mystique of the farm show. Let's go over here and talk to Andrea and Chantal. Ladies, how are you? So you got to stay underneath the little blue tent here. So tell me, you're watching the buses come and go. Are people talking about the snowstorm today? Are they excited about it? What are you hearing people say about this storm?
They're just really just saying it's messy.
Messy?
Yes.
Right. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. It's beautiful, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It is beautiful to see the snow. I have to agree.
It is gorgeous.
Are you from the area here?
No, I'm from Indiana, and I just come into work.
Well, you've seen snow then.
Yes, I have. I've seen a few inches of snow. Originally from Montreal, so yes.
So how does this compare to snowstorms you've seen in the past?
Oh, this is pretty light. Yeah, it's not too bad. The wind is what makes it so crazy, but yeah, no, it's actually beautiful.
Right. So. And you've probably seen thousands of people come and go today as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
A lot of cold children.
Right.
Yes.
Very good. Well, you two be safe out here. I'm glad you have a tent to hang out under. Yeah, very good. Enjoy the farm show, too. So as the snow falls, we've got Ember doing what Ember's going to do after this storm. We have Winter Storm Finn, and that's one we're going to be talking about a lot, too, as the days move on and Ember turns from an active storm into the history books. We've got Finn, and that's going to bring a lot of rain to this part of the country. And there's already concern and warnings coming out from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center for what could be a very catastrophic flooding event for many communities in the Northeast. So we've got to get through the snow now. Then we have to worry about the rain, and that's something the Weather Channel is tracking very, very closely, something for you to pay attention to. It's one of those things that staying weather aware over the next several days is going to be very important depending on where you live. If you're in a flood-prone area, make sure you're certainly paying attention. And we're seeing those yellow and red blobs on the maps where the Storm Prediction Center is really concerned about rain totals coming up from Finn. But as far as Ember goes, you can see looking down Cameron Street, there is plenty of traffic here in Cameron Street on this side of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the state capital. People seem to be ideally driving for conditions, but still they are out. And of course, PennDOT, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, would much prefer that people stay in. But when you're talking about the farm show, people certainly like to be out. So Jordan, I think we're sending it back to you in Scranton, right up I-81 and 84. Up to you, my friend.
Michaels, thank you very much. We're going to take it over here in the studio, looking at some of the observations in and around East Central PA. Keep that ruler with you. We're going to need you to be a spotter for us to give us an idea of how much snow is on the way. But you know what? We are dealing with a lot of impacts as we speak. Major U.S. airlines are warning travelers to be very careful as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours and be prepared for delays as cancellations mount as this system intensifies during the weekend. We're urging customers to monitor their flight status online before making a trip to the airport. And meanwhile, New York State is deploying over 1,600 snow plows to deal with up to a foot of snow that could pile up in some parts of the Empire State. Similar efforts are ramping up in Pennsylvania, with PennDOT implementing speed and vehicle restrictions in the Commonwealth today. So overall, we've got a pretty sprawling system. It's actually not all that intense. When you look at some of the metrics right now, it's really the area of low pressure at the surface is not that strong, but it's big and it's very impactful still, no doubt, extending all the way, as you can see, from the Great Lakes. We saw some flight delays earlier at O'Hare, the departures, and it's snowing hard right now in parts of Pennsylvania and nearby areas of northern Maryland. But look at the pressure falls, and you might think immediately, well, that's a sign that the thing is strengthening, right? If the pressures are going down. And we're seeing pressure drops in the last few hours of about 4 to 5 millibars, maybe a little bit more than that in eastern North Carolina. But most of that is actually just the translation of the area of low pressure to begin with. I mean, if you move low from here to here, well, where you're measuring it, it's going to go down. And that's kind of what we're seeing. We're not seeing the system strengthen yet. But that will change as we go in time. And we're going to see a lot of that happen. I don't know what happened there, but we're going to see a lot of that take place over the next, let's say, 24 to 36 hours. So here's some of the observations right now across parts of northern Virginia. There's a lot of rain in Charlottesville, Virginia, D.C., Baltimore rain. The snow is in interior sections. Right now, Philly, 34 in rain, earlier light snow. It is snowing pretty hard in Reading, PA. Trenton, moderate snow. Harrisburg reporting some light to moderate snow still accumulating there. I think we will get to that 4-inch mark at Harrisburg. But, you know, we've got some snowfall reports here. This one is seen live on the Weather Channel. I think that's Justin Michaels' storm report from Harrisburg at 2 inches. That was about 1 hour ago. But look, I found some numbers coming in here close to 5 inches right along the PA Maryland border. Let's go northeast now. We're starting to see some snow observations in and around New York City. The snow is coming down, certainly aloft. That's what shows up here. A lot of this is not reaching the ground. Some of it is, and in some spots in and around even the Big Apple, we're seeing some snow start to fall, and it will come down a lot harder, I think, for at least for a brief period before going over to rain in Central Park later on this evening and overnight tonight, as that east wind will not be denied. There's no way. When you have that east wind, I'm telling you, on the coastal plain, central Jersey, southeastern New Jersey, anywhere along and east of I-95, very difficult to keep it snow with this kind of wind out of the east like that off the Maritimes. We're going to likely see very heavy snow. Before I send it over to Mark, I want to talk about this because overnight tonight, in southern Connecticut and nearby areas of Rhode Island and southeastern New England, there's going to be a band of heavy snow setting up. Frontogenesis is going to be occurring aloft, very significantly, characteristic of an early stage evolution of the system overall. It is still going to be youthful overnight tonight, but bringing that banded heavy snow likely to southern New England. Then, as we transition into tomorrow, another process begins to take over in terms of this area of low pressure deepening very quickly. That's going to turn the wind around and bring some heavy snow right along coastal New England. Might include Boston. Certainly the Cape is in trouble here for some heavy snow during the day tomorrow and very windy conditions as this low absolutely explodes offshore and then moves away. But before it's all said and done, we've got this much snow yet to come, and you can see the heaviest amounts at elevation in New England and New York State, Mark, but we have to watch out for that north wind picking up and maybe converting some of these coastal locations over to very heavy snow during the day tomorrow.
It really is amazing how frequently these types of events take place, where the cities that we're following are the cutoff, are the changeover zone. It just happens time and time again that way, as if the storm systems and the low pressure tracks know exactly where that warm air needs to get to. You can look at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania as an example of this. You're already seeing that that warm air start to bubble up from the south and east as that kind of ocean maritime air starts taking over. It won't be too long, maybe another hour and a half or so, before some of that starts mixing the precip, especially on the southeast side of the Harrisburg area, and that will limit the snowfall totals that are potentially still remaining. North and west of town, you might still sneak in another couple of inches because you won't change over. The cutoff, the city of Harrisburg, the capital there, and we'll see that take place as Justin Michaels is there for us reporting. So yeah, in town, maybe another inch or two. North and west, as much as 3. South and east, you're basically done. Some light snow right now, but a changeover in the next couple of hours. How about that Scranton, Pennsylvania area? We've seen heavy snow being reported there at times already, and we'll continue to see that steady snow there. We don't get to change over here. The warm air gets close, but no cigar for northeast Pennsylvania, so you're going to stay in that snow regime, which will allow for some decent totals. I think one of the heavier spots, potentially, with some of you picking up just under a foot of snow, 8 to 10 inches of snow for the entire storm system. 8 to 10 inches still to come, and you already have an inch or two on the ground. And so, Dr. Postel, that's a decent snow for that part of the world.
Yeah, we're getting thumped in northeastern PA, Mark. You're right about that. And right now, this winter storm continues to bring snowy and some rainy conditions to the northeast. But Pennsylvania right now is in the thick of it with the snow, with nearly the entire state now under some sort of winter weather alert. Either it's a winter storm warning or an advisory, and correspondent Justin Michaels right now joins us live from Harrisburg. Justin, can you give us the most recent update on the amount of snow you've got on the ground in Harrisburg?
Well, let's take a look. In fact, we're going to walk this way, Lauren. We're going to give Dr. Postel the update. I heard you use our 2-inch mark a moment ago, Dr. Postel, and while I walk over here to our wall, where are you? There you are, everybody. While I walk over here, it's interesting when Dr. Postel talks PennDOT being out. Think about this. There are 4,700 crews out in 2,200 pieces of equipment clearing all across Pennsylvania. Remember, it's a statewide issue. This storm is statewide, so they're working hard to clear a lot of roadways, nearly 96,000 lane miles. Let's take a look, Dr. Postel. All right, we're at 2.5 now, Dr. Postel, 2.5, at least on this very unscientific concrete wall leading into the Pennsylvania Farm Show complex. So 2.5 inches. At the airport, we need to get to 4 inches to break that massive streak of 1,069 days. We'll have to see if that actually happens. Of course, people here in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, they certainly hope it does happen. And I will tell you, there are thousands of people who are enjoying the farm show today, despite the fact that Winter Storm Ember is bringing this snow. And, and that's kind of traditional for folks here. Regardless, rain or shine, snow doesn't matter. People come to the farm show. They'll be doing it all week, Jordan. And that's where we find Jordan about 2.5 hours up to our northeast in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Right up 81 and 84 going across through the Poconos, Jordan. You're in a beautiful part of the Keystone State. And I know you're experiencing the same snow we're getting here in Harrisburg. Up to you now.
And I love it, Justin. I absolutely love it. The snowfall's coming down steady and consistently. And yes, of course, looking at the beautiful terrain that is the Poconos and down, of course, through the valley, the Susquehanna Valley, the greater valley that we're a part of here, there is a lot of terrain to drive through. So I just want to urge everybody, if you don't have to be on the roads, and we've said this all day, I get it, and it's probably getting, repetitive to this point, but I was just talking to our constable here, and he was saying there's already a wreck with injuries on I-81, and so we are beginning to see some traffic implications because of the snow coming down. So just please be careful. Obviously, we're going to be looking at deteriorating conditions as the snow continues through this evening. The plows are out, though, and I'm going to get to more of how you can track the plows yourself if you're in Pennsylvania, which is a really neat tool that the state has, so you can see when the plow might be rolling through your neck of the woods. I'll be showing more of that as we come up after the break, but as temperatures are below freezing, we're nothing but snow here in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it is looking absolutely beautiful as we head into tonight. Tomorrow could be tricky as well, as we're going to continue to see the snow fall. Would not be surprised if we got 5 to 8 inches. Some spots could see more. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, as we are tracking this big, powerful winter storm, and we are showing you a live look from New York City here where, well, there's not a lot to see. You got drops on the lens, but we're actually getting some snowflake action in the city itself. I wish it could stay like that. We know the warmer air is kind of working its way through. Notice temperatures here, 37 with a wind at 10 miles per hour. So anything falling is likely melting, and New York's kind of in that pocket where you're going to be looking at more of a wet overall outlook, unless you go upstate. And then we're talking nothing but pow-pow. Speaking of pow-pow, let's go into the state of Pennsylvania and take a look at some other cameras. I know we've got several ski resorts and ski enthusiasts with the stoke meter on high, as they say, as you've got plenty of flakes flying across much of the state. So as we take a look at a couple of these ski resorts, you got Montage Mountain is one of them near where I am here in Scranton. You also have Elks Mountain, which is a big one. And of course, anybody looking at conditions like this as the snow is coming down, they're like, hey, I need to get my board, get my skis, and get out ASAP. And I would say do that sooner rather than later. I don't know if they have night skiing here. I need to look that up. But if you want to go into tomorrow looks absolutely beautiful for all you skiers and snowboarders across the state of Pennsylvania. For anyone who wants to drive over from New Jersey or parts of New York. The thing that gets a little interesting, of course, is as we trek our next system. So this one is Winter Storm Ember. And then, of course, we go to Flynn, and that's when things could change for us. All this that you're seeing here in the downtown Scranton area could be covered with just a wet mess as we're getting a lot of rain in the near future. But right now, we're piling up that snow. This is from our Storm Path camera right in the downtown area, and it's looking quite nice. We're getting some accumulating snow here, especially on those sidewalks, grassy surfaces. I've got it around me. Roads are still looking to be a little bit on the quote-unquote bare side. However, I do see more and more of the roads getting covered up here with some snowfall. I don't know if, Chris, if you could kind of show we're getting that black concrete covered up just a little bit more and a little bit more, and we're going to see more of that take place over the next several hours. So if you're out and about driving, we just had a plow come by here in our location, and 511PA is going to be the website that you guys want to check out. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this much, but what it's got is it shows you where the snow plows are across the state. And I think that's fantastic because as people might have to be getting out and about tonight, you'll be able to see all these little orange icons that you're seeing here are actually the plows going out and doing their thing, whether they're spreading cinders or, of course, just getting that snow off the road. And that's a way for you guys to check out what the road conditions are looking like for you. If you're in the state of Pennsylvania, 511PA, and you can get other cool content there if they have any kind of blockages or wrecks or camera views. I think that's obviously a neat tool to check out. But I also mentioned that we're beginning to see some accumulation here, and you can kind of see that around me. If you pan over to my left, your right, kind of a forested area here, which gives us the cool view. But we're beginning to see it all pile up here on the ground, and in the distance, you can't even see the city itself. So it's like the snowfall is coming pretty consistently. But what I love about it is it's not too windy. Knock on wood. I hope we can keep it that way because we know we're expecting to see some big wind gusts on the coast. It'd be nice if we could just keep this calm snow coming down in a consistent rate so it's not blowing in my face and then I got to get the goggles on. Let's go ahead and set it back in studio with Dr. Postel and Mark Elliott as they continue to track where this thing is going. Gentlemen, over to you.
Yeah, Jordan, you're right that it has been relatively calm for the inland areas, a nice kind of steady snowfall. The coast is going to be blowing, and then there's another storm behind that, and that will have much more wind for everybody.
A much more intense storm coming early next week. It's not even close. This next one will really be very impactful on its snowy side, on the rainy side, and with all the wind for everybody in between. The likely track is here, and it's moved very little in recent days, and it is almost certainty to be a blockbuster storm, very low pressure, very strong winds, and all kinds of impacts.
So our current storm, the big question was, will it go over the benchmark off the coast? This one, inside runner. Will it go far enough inland to, say, give blizzard conditions to Kansas City or Chicago? That's the real question with this one.
Backside of the system is going to be dangerous. It's going to be very windy. It's going to be very snowy. There might be thunder and lightning in there. These are systems that are wound up so tightly that we're going to see all kinds of hazards right next to one another, maybe even severe weather across parts of the South.
And yeah, so heavy rain on the east side, that'll be falling into the northeast where it's currently about to get heavy snow. So we're going to see a rapid snow melt and then heavy rain on top of that.
Yeah, all the trappings of a big-time storm, much bigger even than the one we have now. Look at the wind from the Rockies to the East Coast on Tuesday, Mark, 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts, and Wednesday, something similar to that.
So you heard Jordan mentioning the nice kind of fluttering snowflakes. Replace that with sideways wind for the next storm. We'll give you all the details right here. Stay with us.
The power of the Weather Channel, now available to everyone.
This is epic.
Trusted live coverage when it matters most is now yours to stream with the Weather Channel TV app, real-time radar, maps that let you track all the action, and so much more. Available now on these platforms. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
Winter storm Ember coverage continues live on the Weather Channel from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is Cameron Street, just outside of the Farm Show complex, and you can see plenty of cars still on the roads. We did just see a plow go through, and before that happened, there was still a lot more snow on Cameron Street, but you can see it's kind of a losing battle. The crews are out working very hard, thousands of them strong across the entire state, but still, Ember is coming to town and dumping all this snow. We're getting close to that 3-inch mark here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We need to get to 4 to break that more than 1,000-day streak. We'll see what happens over the next few hours. I'm Justin Michaels. We are live in Harrisburg outside of the Farm Show. You can see people running across. There are thousands of people inside the building, and as they come out, they're, of course, are going to have to go home, and they're going to do so in some pretty dangerous conditions. So PennDOT is out, and what they're doing is asking people, if you don't need to be out, of course, unless you're at the Farm Show, to stay in and give their crews room to work. Listen now.
This isn't a time to be out there joyriding or sightseeing. We really need the plow drivers, our township partners, our other partners across the state to have room to operate. Stay home unless you absolutely have to be out there. If you do need to drive somewhere, some people do have to go to work. We know that. So leave extra time. You should be going as slow as the conditions warrant. Even if it looks bare, it probably isn't. It'll be slick. Give yourself time. Make sure you have your emergency coat.
And we have seen plenty of people on Cameron Street slipping and sliding around. In fact, the truck coming right up here, he was slipping and sliding there for a little while, and it really brought the road to a standstill during that soundbite, coming through pretty well now. But you can see cars are driving for the most part for condition. It's pretty dangerous out there. It is very slick, very dangerous, very concerning that thousands of people will be leaving the Farm Show over the next several hours and needing to travel home. So driving for conditions is the best thing you can do if you do find yourself out and about, or if you have an emergency, need to be out, have to get to your job, whatever it might be. There are also highway restrictions on several of the area highways as far as high-profile vehicles like semis and other large vehicles, keeping them at speed restrictions. So of course, all of our truckers and truck drivers and other high-profile vehicle drivers will know those restrictions are in place. But for you, the best place for you to be, ideally, is at home. And we'll get you through this storm. Remember, it's not just Ember, though. We also have Finn on the heels of Ember coming through. Could there be a blizzard in Chicago and parts of the heartland? It's certainly possible. But more importantly for people here in the Northeast, whether they should be looking forward to or not, Dr. Postel, is those flooding rains and the rapid melt-off of all the snow here. I know the Storm Prediction Center also has great concerns, the National Weather Service, looking at all the rain that's coming and those rising temperatures in the 50s coming up this week means this all is going to rapidly melt. You get a lot of rain on top of it, Dr. Postel. We could be on the verge of a major problem here in the Northeast. I know we're watching it closely. Dr. Postel, into you.
There's a lot of water content in the snow that's falling, Justin. It is a wet snow, and it doesn't just include Pennsylvania. Let's look at the overall view. You can see it extends all the way back to the Midwest. We saw flight delays in Chicago about an hour or two ago, and, it is still snowing in Illinois and Wisconsin and Michigan, but the worst of it is really right in here. In fact, Justin, the official observation at Harrisburg International was some light snow, half-mile visibility. There's heavier snow just to the south. That is very close to where the rain snow line is, and that's moving your way in central Pennsylvania and near Harrisburg. So I do expect the snow to pick up in intensity and maybe then even go over to a mix of snow and or rain. That's going to be a close one. But look, right now, light snow in Central Park, New York, 37 degrees. So how does it snow when it's 37? It's cold enough aloft to snow, and then just not enough to melt it before it hits the surface. So we're seeing that in many locations and lots of places. You know, radar says it's snowing. It is snowing aloft, but it's just not hitting the ground yet, but it will as we look at this forecast going forward through the evening. I do expect a band of heavy snow to develop in southeastern New York State and southern New England here tonight, as very strong warm air aloft moves in and runs into some cold air that doesn't want to get out of the way. That is an issue for us. We have to watch out for that. And then as this system matures, another aspect of it begins to bring another band of snow to perhaps even the coastal sections that may not get a lot of it later today and tonight. In coastal Rhode Island, maybe in southeastern Massachusetts along the Cape, as this area of low pressure cranks up during the day tomorrow, colder air filters in just enough to get those of us may have been rain, bringing it over to snow. So heads up for that, and wind will be a big factor tomorrow as well before the storm moves away. This is how much we think is yet to come. Notice a lot of it is at elevation, but we are far from done with this story. It is just beginning, and watch out for that low to crank up early tomorrow into midday. We'll be right back.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Welcome back, everybody, as we track this powerful winter storm here in the Northeast, and we are getting plenty of snowfall. Snowfall rates have let up just a little bit, and I think it's going to be coming and going over the next several hours. We are coming to you live in Scranton. It has been a chilly day overall. We started to see the snow begin to fall right in around the 1 o'clock hour, and it has been piling up ever since. Now, you know, we've got maybe half of an inch, best case scenario is what we got here. Nothing crazy, but I'm hoping by the time this is all said and done, 5 to 8 inches. That would be the most snow we have seen since the snowstorm we had back in March of the year 2022. So it's been some time, and I was talking to a gentleman today, and he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, we're here to, he's like, we're not getting any snow. We never get any snow. You guys always forecast snow, and it never really comes. And I understand the reasoning to that. We're in a valley, right? So you got the Pocono Mountains that kind of surround the Scranton area. It's beautiful. If we had a clear day, you could see them out in the distance, but because of the snow, you can't. But every time you get storms that come through a mountainous terrain, that topographical feature, that orographic feature kind of changes who gets the big snow and who doesn't. Obviously, the mountains get bigger snow than, let's say, some of the valleys usually, and that tends to happen here from time to time. So it's been a while since we've had a good snowstorm, and I'm hoping that this winter storm Ember produces for everybody, because I know a lot of folks have been looking forward to it. Now here in Scranton, I mean, this is such a historic town, right? I mean, since the 1880s, it was a powerhouse in the industry for industrial work, right? You've got the local rail, the historic rail line that still, you've got the museum here today, and that still runs, of course, and fans can go and flock there. But the river itself is a big feature as well. The Lackawanna River, which runs right through the town, filled with native brook trout. And the reason why I bring that to your attention is because this snow is actually very good for that runoff and for what the river needs. Now, with the next system that we're going to be tracking for you, that could change the game for us. This is going to be one of the rivers that we have to watch river levels very, very closely because, you know, even in the Susquehanna area, because all this snow eventually could melt as we work our way into next week, and that could be producing big flood events. And we're, of course, going to keep you guys posted on that, kind of keeping track of both of these systems as they evolve into early next week. But since it's the weekend, and I don't want to spoil the fun, I want to talk everything, you know, snow related. We're going to focus on what's to come into the next, you know, 12 to 36 hours or so, or 12 to 24 hours. I think, you know, the winter storm warning that we have here will expire tomorrow evening. I do think we will see snow start to taper down overnight and at some point into tomorrow. And if you are a ski enthusiast, tomorrow and probably Tuesday morning is your day to go enjoy some of this powder before those conditions change. But let's track Ember, go back into the studio and kind of talk a little bit more about where this thing is going, who's seeing the snow, who's seeing the rain. I know ice was a big topic of a conversation earlier today back into Virginia, and we send it back into studio to Mark Elliott.
Yeah, Jordan, that's right. We're following that rain-snow line because as this low moves off the coast and that ocean air starts moving in, that rain-snow line is marching inland along with the storm, and that's going to change over a lot of the cities to all rain for a time being, and that really eats away not only at the snow potential that's falling down through the sky, but also the snow that's on the ground. That rain will erase it from you. Here's the Scranton area. You've dropped a couple of degrees again, back into the moderate snow into the upper 20s. That rain snow line not in there yet, but that is the key. The models are suggesting that we'll get close to the area for Scranton, just on the southern fringe of the region with some changeover, but it never makes it all the way to Scranton, Pennsylvania. So where Jordan is hanging out in Scranton, we're going to stay as snow. It's going to be a pretty good snowstorm piling up on the ground, a decent water content snow. And then, as Jordan mentioned, we're going to be seeing a warm up and a rain event by middle of next week. So you'll have the combination of rain and snow melt eating away at that snow and really going into the rivers and could cause a flood event. But that's, 8 inches still to come of pretty high moisture content snow. That'll still be on the ground as the next storm system arrives and then rains through that. So decent amounts of water all entering the soils at the same time. That's how you get the flood issue. How about we look towards Massachusetts? Here's the Boston area. We'll watch the storm system arrive from the south. It'll take until well into this evening to get any precip anywhere near Boston, maybe starting as a little bit of rain-snow mix and then changing over to snow in Boston, but staying as rain towards the Cape. The Cape could be rain for the duration. Until late tomorrow when the cold air wraps back in and then you change back over to some snow. And so Boston and north and west up to 10 inches of snow. Boston and south and east just a couple of inches. So Justin, you're dealing with that kind of changeover zone as well. Justin Michaels joining us from Harrisburg. South and east of town, Justin, starting to see that changeover marching in. How about for you?
Well, right now, still very much snowing. You can see one of the plow trucks going through a private contractor, and there are plenty of contractors working with PennDOT and municipalities like the city of Harrisburg to work on the roadways, but still solidly snow here in the capital city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, as there are obviously plenty of people on the roads. This is Cameron Street, and you can see this endless flow of traffic in both directions because we have the Pennsylvania Farm Show happening. There are thousands of people inside this building, the Farm Show complex, enjoying this expo, but still it's going to be dangerous as they head home here. Conditions persist, and you want to stay off the roads if you can. We're back after this. Winter Storm Ember continues here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm Justin Michaels. This is our live coverage continuing of this very impactful winter storm that's really extending all the way from Maryland and points southwest of there up into New England and all the way through Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey a little bit, I guess, but certainly into New England later tonight. And we've been dealing with snow here since late morning, probably 10:30. The first flurries began to come down and it kept building. And now you can see as you look down Cameron Street, we are a really good snowstorm happening as far as snow rates coming in. We have about 3 inches, maybe a little bit more than 3 inches here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show complex. We know that it's going to continue to snow. I know Mark Elliott and Dr. Postell are going to be talking to you in a few moments about that snow rain line, and we're getting pretty close to that, to the southeastern and southern parts of the mid-state is what they call it here, the central Pennsylvania region, the Susquehanna Valley. Getting close to that snow rain line. How close is it going to get to Harrisburg? That is yet to be determined, but we are still solidly in snow here. and we understand that snow rain line will set up. Could it get to this? Maybe this part of Pennsylvania. Rain for a little bit, then switch back over to snow before Ember is finally out of here overnight. So that rain's certainly not going to help anything, especially if it gets below freezing. Freezing on the roadways. You know, PennDOT is out. They were pre-treating all day yesterday. They've been out in full force today with their plows and their snow, or their salt trucks. They're doing a lot of work to try to clear the roads. But take note to Cameron Street. This is a state road. We have seen PennDOT crews on this road. And as you well know, when you try to fight Mother Nature always wins, and this snowstorm is certainly beating those crews, even though they are out in full force, thousands of them strong across the entire Keystone State of Pennsylvania. But still, it is really a losing battle until this snow lets up. So we've got several more hours to go. We're still working against we're breaking that record. If you've been watching us the last 2 days, there's a record as of today of 1,069 days since the last time this part of Pennsylvania, Dr. Postel and Mark, saw more than 4 inches of snow. Once we break that, hopefully later today, the streak will finally be broken since February 1st, 2021. It's been that long. It's a long time of minimal snow amounts here in central Pennsylvania. So people who love the snow are loving this, and I have to tell you, as a snow lover myself, it's great. Just be careful out there. We don't need to be covering accidents later tonight. And I will tell you guys, there are thousands of people in the Farm Show complex right now enjoying the Pennsylvania Farm Show. They all have to go home later today, and conditions are certainly not getting any better. Guys, into you.
Hey, Justin, speaking of conditions not getting better, that street behind you looks rather slushy at this point. As people are making that turn out of the Farm Show and onto the road, are you seeing any fishtailing yet? Anyone having trouble?
Yes, we are. In fact, we've seen a few folks come out of here from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture parking lot. They've been coming around slowly but surely, and I have to tell you, they weren't driving out of control. They were taking their time, but still, it's slick enough under that layer of snow that even just basic cars driving, what I could tell for conditions, were having a little trouble. So, I mean, here's a truck coming around right now. So take your time. Take it easy. We don't need the accidents. Guys, into you.
It's always those turns that get so tricky. Justin, thanks so much, and we'll be back with you in just a little bit.
The last report that I saw at Harrisburg downtown was 3 inches of snow, and it's still snowing moderately, so we'll get more than that. We'll see if we break that 4 inches.
It's going to be close.
Yeah.
It's going to be close. You know, the next storm on the way also has a lot of people taking notice, and might have a little bit more of a severe component, although we are seeing some severe weather right now, including a couple of tornado warnings for our current storm. But this one, coming up Monday, could have severe weather near the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, and this next storm early next week, much more powerful than the one we got ongoing. This is going to bring a lot more Gulf moisture, especially into the deep south, with all the ingredients that you think of. We're going to have the wind shear. We're going to have enough instability to support severe weather. So heads up Monday and probably Tuesday as well.
What will kind of transition into the big player, I think, as that low deepens, is the mid to upper level winds. I mean, they're going to be really screaming, and that's going to help to organize those storms. But speaking of organized storms, we've got one now.
Right now in southeast Florida. Marky?
This is the second South Florida tornado warning of the day. This one popping up just outside of Wellington. So that's Palm Beach County. Here's Boynton Beach. Here's the Ag Reserve out here and the Turnpike. And this is coming out of that kind of interior area and moving its way towards the coastal areas and where more population is.
Take shelter if you live anywhere from Boynton Beach through Lake Worth and West Palm, just in case this storm is moving basically east or maybe slightly north of that, but it's going to be moving in. Bad weather regardless of whether or not there's a tornado.
Hopefully my parents are tuning in now, because that's where they are. And if they're not, I'm going to be on the phone during the break, and you can do that too. If you know people down in Palm Beach County, just north or kind of near or just north of Boynton Beach, or just south of Palm Beach Gardens, this storm is coming your way.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Stay home unless you absolutely have to be out there. If you do need to drive somewhere, you should be going as slow as the conditions warrant. Even if it looks bare, it probably isn't. It'll be slick.
People have to remember that it's been such a mild winter, you don't think, oh, it's time for the big snowstorm.
And we are in it right now. More than 34 million people under winter weather alerts from the mid-Atlantic all the way to New England. We're talking 12 states, ladies and gentlemen, under winter storm warnings. And Winter Storm Ember is just getting going here. We've got 6 live crews stationed across the Northeast, of course, bringing you that live coverage you trust us with of those conditions as Ember intensifies and unleashes heavy snow across the region. Thank you guys so much for staying with us as we continue live coverage of Winter Storm Ember. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele coming to you from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And in fact, here in Lackawanna County, we're going to have a live interview coming up this hour with the Lackawanna County Commissioner about conditions in the county itself, on the roads, and just seeing what we've got going on there, because I-81 has already had a couple of wrecks. We had a truck fire, and I know fire crews in the county have been dispatched left and right. So as the snow intensifies, we're beginning to see more and more of those first responders go out on calls. Now, just to give you some perspective, we've seen snow pretty steadily since about the 1-2 o'clock hour. Behind me, you should be able to see Scranton, but you know, with the visibility the way we've had it, we haven't had much of a view, so to speak, since we've had the heavy snow move through. And down below, I don't know if you can see the roads here. Chris, I'll step out of the way and you can maybe zoom in. We've got traffic going on those roads, and I have seen plows kind of working their way through the interstate and on some of the city roads as well, which has been good to see, whether they're spreading cinders or actually plowing the snow itself, making sure you've got the best traction possible. They did a good job brining last night, getting everything prepped for what is to come, and really haven't seen, you know, too much of a big winter storm like this in the last couple of years. I mean, we're talking, you go back to 2022, and that's when we actually had a storm system provide more than 4 inches of snow in one sitting. And that was back in the month of March. And ever since then, I mean, just all of last year, we totaled 16.4 inches of snow in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. That is it. We averaged 30 to 35. And with this storm, we could get 5 to 8. So could we potentially get half of all the snow we got last year? Well, all you snow enthusiasts are probably keeping your fingers crossed and saying, I hope so. And then, of course, we will talk more about what's to come after with Winter Storm Finn. In the meantime, we're going south to Justin Michaels. He is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where they've had several inches of snow already, and it is getting quite messy on the roads. Justin?
You know, Jordan, I was checking in with several people who are tweeting or Xing or whatever you do now, and Facebooking and Instagramming different snow totals they're seeing at their houses here around central Pennsylvania. And some people are seeing 3.5, 4.5 inches. We need to break the 4-inch mark here in central Pennsylvania, specifically at Harrisburg International Airport, because if we break 4 inches, it'll be the first day we've done that in 1,069 days. We have to go back to February 1st, 2021. That's the last time they got at least 4 inches of snow here at the airport. So we'll have to see if that actually happens. Looking over here at Cameron Street, you can see plow trucks, and they are out in full force from PennDOT, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. They're working very hard because, remember, this is really a Pennsylvania-wide storm. Almost every county is impacted in some way, shape, or form, so every county has activated PennDOT as far as getting out, sanding, salting, plowing, doing what they need to do to keep the roads as clear as possible. Can tell you Cameron Street there is pretty much a mess. That's not because of the hard work, though, of the PennDOT crews. They're doing everything they can. The storm is just still putting down some pretty decent snow rates and totals. We're well over 3 inches here at the Farm Show Complex. And you might be wondering why we are at the Farm Show Complex. Well, in central Pennsylvania, if you know anything about the Farm Show, you know this is Farm Show weather, all right? Snow coming down in the Farm Show is kind of an old wives' tale, something that we all talk about. I'm from this neck of the woods, not far from Harrisburg, and you always hear about Farm Show weather. It always snows during the Farm Show. But really, if you look back at the numbers and you average it all out, it's about 40% of the time it snows during the Farm Show. But we still say that here in central Pennsylvania, and it is snowing today. Dr. Postel, there are still thousands of people inside this building because, of course, the food court is open, all the exhibitions are open. So that's thousands of people who will eventually need to go home. PennDOT is very concerned about that. Driving for conditions, ideally getting home and staying home is what they want you to do, Dr. Postel. So a winter storm finally coming back to central Pennsylvania. Let's hope we get over that 4-inch mark. Dr. Postel, into you.
Well, Justin, you're going to need to keep a hold of that ruler that you have, because it's an important marker, because we need to know how much snow is falling in your location. The last report that we saw downtown Harrisburg, 3 inches, but that was a little while ago. So, Justin, stay tuned and keep us updated. Thank you very much with that. Now, let's have a look at the system overall as it continues to evolve. We haven't yet really seen the pressures tank. In other words, this low pressure area to get a lot lower. We are seeing very impactful weather, no doubt about that. But by a lot of metrics, it's actually not really all that strong, at least right now in terms of low pressure. There's the lowest of the pressures here near the Delmarva, and they're getting a little bit lower as the system generally moves in about that direction. But later on tonight and tomorrow morning, when it gets out here, it's going to get a lot stronger. And as it does, it's going to bring in some wind from the north. And as it does that, guess what? Some of the rain that we might have on the coast overnight tonight will go over to snow. So there's hope yet for places that may look to get more rain overall. End up with a bunch of snow and some windy conditions tomorrow, especially in coastal sections of New England. Right now, though, we've got heavy rain moving through parts of Maryland and nearby Delaware, also southern New Jersey. Temperatures are well above freezing. But inland, you can see it's heavy snow, and that includes areas near Harrisburg, Reading, Pennsylvania. Heavy snow, many locations here also reporting heavy snow. A couple of observations, by the way. This was Justin's report about 2 hours ago, 2 inches in Harrisburg. Since then, it's been updated to 3, but I found a couple of 6-inch marks here in western Maryland as well. So we're not done yet, and we're still going to be adding to those numbers. Interestingly enough, Central Park now reporting S+ with quarter-mile visibility, meaning heavy snow, and it's coming down real hard. You can only see about a quarter-mile away, so that's something noteworthy. Very heavy snow likely in western New Jersey, Warren County as well. We're not yet snowing in Hartford, even though the radar says it is. It is snowing aloft. It's just not making it to the surface. It's so dry, the flakes are evaporating before they hit the ground. But that's going to change. As I mentioned, as this system matures and evolves, we are going to see a couple of things happen during the overnight hours tonight. Watch out for a band of heavy snow very close to the coast and probably just inland overnight tonight as warm air aloft tries to ride on in, and with some cold air aloft that doesn't want to get out of the way. There's going to be a battle that takes place. These are often features of systems like this that bring these very heavy snowfall rates in these banded structures. Watch out for that in southern New England tonight. Not the case, though, in New Jersey. It's going to continue to be a rain event with the wind coming from the ocean. But then we sort of transition into another phase of this system, one where the area of low pressure gets a lot stronger, let's say somewhere around there during the morning hours tomorrow. That's going to bring our wind out of the north or northeast in many locations, and that could bring us over to snow in even those coastal locations. Good news there, but this thing really intensifies as it moves just east of New England and then outward toward the Maritimes before it's all done tomorrow evening. So we have a long way to go with this thing, and many locations, I think, in eastern New England are going to get a lot of snow and a lot of wind, especially overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. Right now, this winter storm is delivering a snowy punch to Pennsylvania, and nearly the entire state is under some type of alert this afternoon. National correspondent Justin Michaels joins us now live from Harrisburg. Justin, tell me, you used that ruler and gave us an update on the numbers, didn't you?
Not yet. I promise I will, though, Dr. Postel. I'm letting it build up a little bit more on our trusty ledge over here. I promise I will have it for you, because we're going to do that in a moment. I want to talk, though, right now to Roseanne Placey, a very important person to talk to, because she's the spokesperson for the Pennsylvania Turnpike, a major thoroughfare east and west here, going from Philadelphia all the way to Pittsburgh to 79 in our west. It's a major roadway, and it's an important artery here connecting Harrisburg to basically the rest of the state. So, Roseanne, thanks for being with us. Can you tell us, as we go through Winter Storm Ember, what is the state of the Pennsylvania Turnpike right now?
Well, first and foremost, Justin, thank you so much for coming to Pennsylvania. I hope you were able to get into the farm show a bit. I know you're a local hometown boy, and maybe we're going to call this Justin Michaels weather after this week. So in any event, I'm really not the most important person at the Turnpike. Our maintenance crews are the most important people at the Turnpike, particularly in the here and now. They work all year to be ready for winter. They get their equipment ready. They get all of our supplies ready. And they consider this their Super Bowl. So they're prepared. But I would also ask folks Don't go out today. If you do not have to be out, we're doing our best to keep the roads safe for you. But if you do not have to be out, do not go out. The farm show will be enforced for 10 more days. There's plenty of time to get down to the farm show. But also, check the weather, obviously. Pay attention to the Weather Channel. We also have tools here in Pennsylvania, PA 511. It shows all of our roadways, particularly the Pennsylvania Turnpike. You can see the conditions on the roadway. You can see speed restrictions. You can see any accidents, incidents, or delays. Check PA 511 either online or download the app. And again, I just want to make people aware that because we haven't had this weather activity for quite a long time, what we're seeing on our roadway is very unsafe driving behaviors. It's almost like folks have forgotten how to drive in bad weather. So really and truly, take it slowly. Do not pass a plow truck. Whatever you do, it's not safe for you, and it's not safe for our plow drivers. If you have a problem on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, all you need to do is dial *11. Our traffic operations team will respond to you. They'll find out where you are on our system, and they'll get help out to you as soon as possible. Do not leave your car. Do not walk on our roadway. These are hazardous conditions all over Pennsylvania. I just heard your report from Lackawanna. We have reduced our speeds to 55 miles per hour on the northeastern extension. Enjoy the day. Be outside with your kids. All the kids in this neighborhood were waiting for this first snow to fall. And now I'll bet, Justin, we have close to 4 inches because they've been running with their sleds all afternoon long.
In Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, where you are, just across the Susquehanna River from where we are here at the Farm Show Complex. So, Roseanne, so you have reduced speeds in parts of the Turnpike. Any truck traffic restrictions, any other restrictions people should know about before they head out, if they need to head out?
Yes, there are restrictions for certain truck traffic. Again, jump on PA 511 to understand where those restrictions are. I know you had my colleague Erin on earlier in the afternoon. We work together as a team. We're separate organizations, but we're roadways in Pennsylvania. So we work together as a team, and we make sure all of our data is populated on PA 511. That's the best place to go.
And really, your entire roadway, knowing this storm, and because I've traveled every mile of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, your whole roadway, the PA Turnpike, is all being impacted by this storm. So that roadway in particular, not just 81, not just 83, 581 around Harrisburg, 80 going across the middle of the state, but really all the Pennsylvania Turnpike is impacted, meaning it is truly a dangerous place to be, despite the fact those crews are out. You want people to stay off of it.
Right. I won't say our roadway is dangerous, but if you're not comfortable driving in the snow, don't get out in the snow. We intend to be as helpful as we possibly can, but word one, be safe. We're a 564-mile operation, and we're there to assist you at all times of the night or day.
Very good. Roseanne Placey, we are grateful for you and to all of your crews who are out keeping the PA Turnpike safe. Thank you for your time and for welcoming us to Pennsylvania. We do appreciate it.
Of course,
and we do want to send it up to Jordan Steele, who, oh, sure. No, we're grateful for you. And we do want to send it up 81 and 84 up into the Poconos of Pennsylvania. That's where we find meteorologist Jordan Steele. Jordan, I'll tell you what, it's interesting. You said you had snow kick in right around 1 o'clock. We had it about 10:30. And if you drive from this part of Pennsylvania to your part of Pennsylvania, it's about that difference in time, about 2.5 hours. So the storm's moving at highway speeds. How are things right now?
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about the timing of that. Here's the thing, though. If you're going to make that commute, please slow down. We are hearing about multiple wrecks on the highway and the interstate. And remember, this part of Pennsylvania, very hilly, lots of terrain, and lots of, winding roads, even on the interstate. So you got to be careful. Plows are doing as best as they can to keep up with the road conditions. But as we kind of look at some of the totals that we've had across the state, whether it's, a trace of snow to 1 inch to 2 inches, 4 inches, I got our handy dandy tape measure here for us to do a little measure here locally. Man, me and this little bad boy have seen a lot of renovations at my house. But we have a little platform here to my right, your left, that we've been watching pile up snow, and it's not a lot where we're at, but we've had it pretty consistent, and I do like to see that we're starting to see it pile up a little bit. And yes, this is official. No, I'm teasing, of course. So what do we got there? Just over 1/2 of an inch or so, kind of working our way towards 3/4 of an inch. Again, remember the forecast period for this area is 5 to 8 by the time we get all said and done with Winter Storm Ember. This is kind of, am I doing a good job showing you guys what this is? Again, it's not much, but it's enough to cause the roads to be very slick out there. And I know the more traffic that we have on there, it's trying to keep those roads bare, but we are beginning to hear multiple reports of some wrecks on the interstates. The visibility down towards Scranton is almost nothing. So we are anticipating travel trouble through the overnight hours and into tomorrow. Again, we say it a lot. If you can stay off the roads, please do. We'll take a break and be back after this. Welcome back, everybody, as we track this powerful winter storm Ember as it moves across the Northeast. I'm coming to you live in Scranton, right here in the heart of Lackawanna County. And we're fortunate enough to talk with the County Commissioner. Chris Sharmack here is with us to talk to us a little bit about what's going on. And I know for you guys, it has been some time since we've seen a nice, healthy snowstorm.
Yeah, it has. It's been a while. So we'll see how everybody adjusts quickly here.
Yeah, I know that people have been prepped for it. I was driving in, noticed the roads are brined. You guys are doing a great job at getting everything prepped for this. But what would you say is, everyone's feeling on this system? I mean, you kind of get into a situation where some people either love it or you hate it. But I mean, we've had a couple of winters here where we have yet to have really good snow.
Yeah, well, I mean, typically growing up, I spent my whole life here, so we're used to it. But lately, it's been pretty calm and pretty mild. So we'll see if people can get back to what it used to be. But typically this is what we're used to. So hopefully we won't have any trouble. Our crews are out, are taking good care of the roads. Our county crews, our state crews, we're okay.
And just so everybody knows, he's a local ski enthusiast, as am I. And we've got a couple mountains right near us. And, just kind of thinking about the ski industry in general, we talk about different states. And I know one of the spots in Vermont got hammered with some rain after a big mountain system, and it caused problems. What has it been like for the state of Pennsylvania and the ski resort industries?
Well, it's been difficult the last few years, but we have a couple mountains here, Elk Mountain up in Susquehanna County, Montage Mountain here in Lackawanna County. We have great snow crews. They do a very good job, but they have to because we just don't get the snow like we used to. But over Christmas was a little tough. We had some rain, but we'll get it back.
We'll get it back. And, of course, as we kind of gear up for this system, we're already waiting for the next one, which is looking to be a bit of a rain situation. Have you guys talked at all about precautions that could come with flooding into next week?
Well, we just dealt with a major flood problem here locally, so we're always aware of that. So we'll be on top of it. We'll see what the weather does.
Yeah, and I know, obviously, just looking at some of the rivers and the tributaries and things like that is something that you guys are very prideful about, and, of course, kind of keeping everybody safe there. But I guess going forward with this storm, let's talk snow before we talk, rain and the washout. What is your biggest concern, and what do you would you like to tell some of the residents of Pennsylvania?
Well, I mean, this is the real deal today. So we have snow coming. So if you don't have to go out, obviously don't go out. I'm sure everybody was out and got their bread and their milk. That seemed to be the big thing today. But mainly just stay safe. Let the road crews do their job. and tomorrow will be a great day. You can get out and enjoy the snow.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we've seen a lot of smiles on people's faces when you get snow like this. It's just kind of like, finally, right? Yeah. Chris Shermack, we really appreciate your time. County Commissioner here in Lackawanna County. And, you know, as we send it back in the studio, I briefly mentioned what's to come into next week. And I think that's going to be a big topic of conversation. The newest winter storm in next week, Winter Storm Finn, that one's got a lot of rain with it. So let's send it in the studio where they can track that.
Yeah, that's right. We're watching the next storm because Dr. Postel, with roughly an inch equivalent of water sitting on the ground and the potential for 2 to 4 inches of rain falling from the sky, suddenly you've got 4 to 5 inches all hitting the system at once.
So what Mark's talking about is exactly right. I mean, we're going to have a rainstorm in the Northeast early next week, thanks to this area of low pressure that's going to be developing by, let's say, Monday over the high plains, taking a very different track than the one we've got now, and at much higher intensity as well. So we're going to have a cold side with snow in the Midwest, but a rainy side in the east as well.
So that east side is going to have all kinds of wind, but rain. They're on the warm side of the storm, and that's the Northeast, where there's snow on the ground now. And so that's a lot of water hitting the streams, hitting the rivers. The soil's moisture is going to fill up very quickly.
That's exactly right. Now, on this map, it looks like you might have some snow initially with this next storm, and that could be true. But eventually, it's going to go over to rain based on how strong this area of low pressure is. That south wind is going to bring up a lot of mild air all the way through New England. On the other side of it, it is going to be cold and very snowy.
Yeah, so let's, stick with the snow lovers, shall we? Let's time out how it kind of evolves and where we might see even some blizzard conditions, at least temporarily, with this storm.
Yeah, it seems like this one will have enough cold air and a pretty ferocious backside to it. Right in there, let's say in Kansas and Missouri. Now, we don't know exactly where the heaviest snow is going to line up. We still got plenty of time to sort it out. But where it does, it could be snowing real hard. We could have blizzard conditions and thunder and lightning and all the hazards like that.
It's been a long time since the Kansas City area, since Chicagoland has seen a big-time snow. And this could be it. I mean, there's wiggle room here. We'll have to see exactly where that low tracks. But someone's going to be in that pivot point of the low in the heavy snow for a while.
Maybe Chicago, maybe Milwaukee, maybe central Illinois, maybe northeastern Kansas and northern Missouri. Heads up. But look at all the rain moving in to the northeast as this system continues to intensify into Canada. That is a flooding nightmare potential.
Yeah, already the Weather Prediction Center putting out a moderate risk for floods in North Jersey for day 4. That's the highest they go for that far out. We'll see if we might have a high risk on our hands.
It's a cold, hard fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel. Trusted to expertly time out your conditions.
This is the system that is headed your way.
Trusted to be the team that keeps you as ready for winter as we are. It's why America doesn't trust winter coverage to anyone else.
Winter Storm Ember coverage continues live for you on the Weather Channel. We're working very hard to keep you informed and safe, keep you up to date on all the conditions happening for the entire expanse of this storm. And it is a beast of a storm, taking up all of Pennsylvania, pushing up into New York and New England by the time it's all said and done. And snow totals. It'll be interesting to see what happens depending on where the snow rain line sets up. If you've been watching us at all over the last 48 hours, you know that we've been looking for the break of a streak, and that streak needs to happen at Harrisburg International Airport. 1,069 days since they've had more than 4 inches of snow tracked at the airport. Now, here's my trusty green ruler. I can tell you that at least here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show Complex, we are now over 4 inches. In fact, well, maybe 4 inches and a few millimeters there, but there's the 4-inch mark, and it goes beneath it. So there you go. So what is the airport doing? Of course, that's the official reading for the National Weather Service here in this part of Pennsylvania. So hopefully they get over 4 inches, because a lot of people have been paying attention to that 1,069 number, hoping that streak falls. Well, according to this wall, it has, but we have to wait for them. They're the official source, and we have to wait for that to happen. Looking out here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show Complex, you can see some families moving around, a very small sample of the thousands of people who are inside enjoying the kickoff to a very special event here in central Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Farm Show. 108 years. This is the 108th year. And what it is a way to showcase our farmers and our people in agriculture, just to make sure we show that we appreciate them. And they come here to have a large farming and agriculture expo, the largest not just in Pennsylvania, the largest in the country. So it brings hundreds of thousands of people over the course of this week. In fact, by the end of the week, if we look back at the last several years, could we have 600,000 people here to enjoy this, Dr. Postel? It's a big event for Pennsylvania and for our agriculture community. But there it is, Dr. Postel, the trusty green ruler. It's over 4 inches, Dr. Postel. What say you?
I knew you could do it, Justin. I had faith in you that we'd get there. Yeah, that's a good 4 inches.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, and
Right.
You know what? There's still more snow on the way, but I'm looking at the radar. It's going to be a close call. Mark and I were looking at the rain-snow line getting closer to Harrisburg, so it may turn over to rain, but it's going to be close, and if it does, it would happen probably within the next hour or so. So keep those accumulations coming, and Justin, for your sake and for snow lovers' sake, all across parts of central Pennsylvania, let's hope that rain-snow line doesn't move anymore, because in Harrisburg, we're looking at least at 4 inches where Justin's site is. Now, let's have a look at the regional radar. Excellent reporting there by Justin. I know his report's going to go on the local storm reports there from the National Weather Service. Good job. And you can see, look, it's snowing real hard at State College. Temperatures in the upper 20s, and it continues to pile up there. Philadelphia and many other locations in the vicinity have now been rained for a few hours. It's 34 degrees and light rain in Philly. Trenton, New Jersey, light rain and 33. Baltimore's been raining the whole morning practically. Same thing with D.C., so no snow there, and certainly not in southeast Jersey. But in northwestern New Jersey, northeastern PA, where Jordan is, he's in Scranton, PA, light to moderate snow right now. New York City now reporting light snow at 34. We're going to go over to rain in New York. It's just a matter of time. Probably later on this afternoon, it's going to go to rain, and then that will likely melt most, if not all, the snow that's stuck, if there's been much. But not so. We're going to see additional snow here moving in, and that is going to pile up pretty quickly, and we may get a lot of snow in Connecticut and nearby northern Rhode Island, interior Massachusetts, and other parts of New England and New York State. Timing it out shows you this. And you can see that the rain-snow line, according to this model, which has actually been pretty good so far today, has it rain-snow line north of Manhattan. There you can see that, and on into central PA. Allentown may indeed go over rain. Thank you to the east wind for doing that. No thanks if you want the snow, but that east wind is just too much to overcome for snow lovers. Once that wind moves in a direction like that, you can forget it along the coastal plain. Anywhere along and east of I-95 is going to be rain if it isn't already with that east wind. But look, going into tonight, this is where it gets very interesting and the forecast gets a lot more difficult. We may indeed see some very heavy snow develop here in interior Connecticut, interior Rhode Island, and nearby areas of Massachusetts. Warm air aloft is going to be trying to surge in here with cold air aloft that doesn't want to get out of the way. There'll be a battle taking place. Frontogenesis will be ongoing, which is a common aspect to storms at this stage of their development, and we're going to see that overnight tonight. Those lead to bands of very heavy snowfall rates, and I think that's a possibility. And then as this storm matures and then area of low pressure gets stronger and moves in that direction, we're going to see some colder air wrap in behind it and another area of snow move across eastern New England before it all leaves later on tomorrow. Stay tuned. A lot more yet to go with this thing.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
The Weather Channel takes you now some new video out of the heart of Manhattan there in New York City, Central Park, the world iconic Central Park, with flurries falling right now. Not a massive snowstorm there as Ember pushes through, but still lovely to see a little snow activity in Central Park, especially for those people who are out enjoying it. If you ever spent any time in New York, some snow in New York is nothing short of magical. It's a nice thing to see. So hopefully they get a little bit more, probably not going to out of this storm, but we have a long winter to go. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Justin Michaels. We're live for you in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And taking a look, well, there's a big bus in the way right now. How's that for television magic? A big bus. But looking beyond the bus, we see cars on one of the main thoroughfares here through Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Cameron Street, and it is really snow-covered. You can see those cars, even though they are coming to a stoplight, they are driving for conditions. We've not been seeing anybody spinning out or doing anything all that dangerous here. We do know there were highway restrictions on I-81, I-83, the Pennsylvania Turnpike, highway restrictions on many of those major thoroughfares that go through Pennsylvania, I-80, I-90, all of them coming through Pennsylvania. And there are highway restrictions on all of them at this point as far as speed, and then also for higher profile vehicles, restrictions even for tractor trailers. Now, earlier today we did catch up with PennDOT spokesperson Erin Waters-Tressott, and she was telling us about the importance of keeping clear of those plow trucks. There's a lot of them out, and it's really important because when you interact with one of those, I promise, that's going to beat your car, and that can turn into a very dangerous, if not deadly, situation. Listen.
When you see any plow operating out there, whether it's a larger one or maybe a smaller local government one, give them space. We'd like to say at least 6 car lengths behind a plow. That's where you want to be anyway. You'll have better traction, you'll have some material being spread usually. Do not pass a plow while it's operating. They have a lot to be thinking about while they're in that cab. They're looking for where their blades are. They're looking all around them for the traffic conditions. So if you're one less person making it complicated for them, that really helps.
And a good thing you can remember as you're driving, or if you're teaching any of your kids how to drive, if they have their learner's permits, don't crowd the plow. Kind of like we always tell you, turn around, don't drown. Don't crowd the plows, another good one to remember. And staying those 6 car lengths back is certainly the best thing you can do. That gives you room to stop if they have to come to an emergency stop, and it keeps you clear of those blades because your car is no match for them. I can assure you of that. I will tell you, the snow is slowing here in central Pennsylvania. It is still coming down. You can see one of those plow trucks here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show, one of those front end loaders getting that plow moving, or getting the snow out of the way. It's kind of a race against Mother Nature at this point trying to do that, because as they do this, more snow comes down. But are we going to switch over to rain here at some point? I certainly hope not. I'm a snow lover, and nobody who loves the snow wants it ever to switch over to rain. But I know that Mark Elliott and Dr. Postel are closely watching that, because that snow-rain line is getting very, very precariously close to us here in central Pennsylvania, and points south of here definitely impacting down there. So we have some big fat flakes falling. We have slowing snow at this point, but I will tell you from my green ruler here, our unscientific measurement over there on the wall, we're over the 4-inch mark, Mark Elliott, but the official reading needs to come from the airport. So hopefully they break that 4-inch mark and will break the 1,069-day streak since they've had more than 4 inches of snow here in central Pennsylvania. Mark, into you.
Yeah, latest op at the airport there, Justin, is 3 inches, so it's going to be close because it is still snowing, but that snow line that rain snow line is marching closer. You know, as it's warmed near you a bit, it's 33 where you're standing, as some warmer air aloft you. Have you noticed the consistency of the snow changing? You said earlier it was all powder, you could just blow it off your hands. Is it getting packable yet?
Let me pick some of this up. I mean, kinda. Okay, so it's at least staying together. Before, it didn't even do that. So yes, the consistency is definitely changing. And Mark, as you know, it's doing what I guess Cantori likes to say, kind of puking snow a little bit. We're getting those big fat flakes coming down. It's not a heavy snow right now, but we are getting those big flakes, so they are sticking together in the warmer air of the atmosphere. But yes, we do have a difference in the consistency, whereas, like I said before, you couldn't do that. So, kids, your snowball snow is coming. Give it a little bit of time. Mark and
and those are those big snow conglomerates that are now falling through the sky. Let's time it out for you, Justin. The all-important question as to where that rain-snow line is going to set up for the Harrisburg area, and it is really close right now. You can see 33 degrees at the ob. Here comes that changeover. It won't be immediate, but it is certainly happening on that southeast side of the city, and that will continue to march in over the next couple of hours, and then honestly the precip more or less shuts off. You'll only be left with some flurry action on the back end through much of your Sunday morning, we're not anticipating much accumulation from that at all in the Harrisburg area. So when all is said and done, there's not much. If you haven't gotten to that official 4 inches yet at the airport for the National Weather Service, it's going to be close. Still a couple of inches to go, though, on the northwest side. A different story for you in Scranton, where moderate to heavy snow is being reported across the area. You do not change over in this area. You stay as heavy snow for the duration. Maybe a little nod to some mixing south and east, but overall, this is mostly a snow event, so snow totals should be in that 10-inch range.
Welcome back, everybody, as we track this winter storm that is providing a lot of snowfall for the state of Pennsylvania. I personally am loving it. You could probably tell that. Trying to talk to a couple residents here to see if they, feel that same feeling that I do. And then, of course, I think a lot of folks are saying, yes, we're due. We need this snow. And where we're at here, I love that we still got this little twinkly light theme, right? You got the lights on as the sun is setting, the snow's still coming down. This is what I'm talking about. Downtown Scranton, very beautiful, cute little quaint town that's been revitalized. And speaking of Lackawanna, which we're actually at the courthouse here at Lackawanna County Courthouse, meaning the stream that forks. So you've got the Lackawanna River running into the Susquehanna River, and that's part of this big basin that we're a part of, obviously surrounded by mountains. So the fact that we're getting snow in the mountains, we're getting snow in the valley is great, since so many of us are in a bit of a deficit. So in terms of snow coverage, this is pretty good. I know Justin's been talking from the state capitol about him picking up roughly 4 inches of snow. We're on our way. We've got about an inch plus, and there's some spots that are picking up a little bit more than that, and those will come in throughout the evening, especially if we keep the snow falling at these rates. I think it's been fantastic. Now, it's been a while since we've had a good snowfall. I mean, you go back to 2022 is when we had our last decent snowfall. A 7-inch storm was provided back in March of 2022. Last year, you take all the snow for the entire year, and we only picked up 16.4 inches here in Scranton. So the fact that we've got a chance to get 5 to 8 inches of snow is a very good thing, especially when we've been looking about the big deficits that we've been looking into. With that being said, we know we're already kind of keeping our eye on the big storm that is on the horizon. So as we send it back into studio, I think the thing that we have to watch with the next winter system is kind of similar with this one, you guys. And you've got a severe component, but you also have a snow side of it, and then a big rain and wind side of it too. So I'll send it back into you guys to break that down.
Yeah, you're right, Jordan. It is going to be an arguably a bigger storm system on the way for the next couple of days, right? As the next low takes off, we're going to start to see more severe weather. We're going to see more rain. I think we'll see more snow, just in a different spot of the country.
Different spot. This is an outlook issued by the Storm Prediction Center for Monday. This is their day 3. This is a slight risk. We'll see if this goes up. There's some risk for this to be upgraded a little bit as we go closer to Monday.
Yeah.
But we could see all modes here in play, right? With damaging straight line winds, of course, and maybe even some tornadoes.
I think the timing might be a little bit off to see a widespread severe event, because that rain moves in pretty early in the day. So that might limit some of the instability potential that you otherwise would see. But you're right, we've got all kinds of moisture coming up. That helps the lift. You got an old front in the area. That will add some corkscrew spin to the regime. And then the winds aloft, Postel. Man, Doc, these could really steal the show.
Yeah, it should be a high shear environment, I think, in certain ways, and that has to be monitored carefully because if nothing else, these strong winds aloft are going to be playing a role in the potential for damaging straight line winds, regardless of the tornado threat. And even aside from that,
it's going to be windy no matter what, right?
It's going to be windy no matter what. Even if you don't get any thunderstorms, like how to hit in Atlanta Monday evening, we're going to have 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts likely.
And that's for everybody.
Everybody.
You don't have to have the storm. The storms will enhance that. Right. The rain will push down through that, stronger wind aloft and bring it down to the surface. But it's already going to be windy for everyone. Things are going to really be moving around. If you haven't brought in your Christmas decorations yet, now might be the time because otherwise your neighbors will have to bring them in for you because they're going to be a couple of doors down.
Yes, and that continues into Tuesday morning and brings a lot of warmth and rain into the mid-Atlantic and eventually the Northeast. That could be a significant flooding issue for us there as well.
Yeah, so we get all this really tightening wind as that low cranks, maybe some severe weather towards the East Coast, but certainly a lot of heavy rain. So first, a chance of severe weather Tuesday as that line of storms marches in. Straight line winds, I think by this point will probably be the bigger threat, but the rain alone is going to cause some problems.
Yes, in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast where we're going to have a snowpack from what's ongoing now. Add the rain and the milder temperatures. Uh-oh, that's a lot of flooding. But let's send it over to Jordan Steele in Scranton, PA, where it's not rain, it's snow right now. That's what we're working with today.
It's all snow, and it's people dancing in the snow. I looked over, and I'm like, wait, are we about to see a proposal here, or is this just some kind of Instagram photo shoot? So either way, haven't talked to the crew yet. You got plenty of snow for some beautiful photos, and it seems like that is exactly what they're doing. You got a good view here of all that snow coming down, and it looks good. Now, obviously, you've got the joy that comes with the heavy snow we haven't seen for quite some time, and you can see that by the smiles on their faces. But you also have, road conditions, flight travel situations, and we're, of course, keeping all of you guys informed on that, not just from the state of Pennsylvania perspective, but for the Northeast in general, and eventually into what's coming next week into the Midwest. We're going to take a short break. I'll leave you with this two joyous couple. We'll be back.
A winter storm Ember hammering the Northeast right now with wintry mix, heavy snow, and blustery winds. We thank you so much for staying with the Weather Channel for our special live coverage as we track both winter storms Ember and winter storm Finn. I'm Alex Wilson here with Carl Parker. Carl, this is a big storm for a lot of people.
Yeah, for millions of people, this is going to be the first significant snowfall in years, and we're looking at possibly as much as a foot of snow for parts of New England and also upstate New York. We're going to talk about all that coming up here in just a moment. But Alex, we want to get out to the field and take a look at what's going on now.
Yeah, we got to get to Scranton, Pennsylvania, northeast part of the state of Pennsylvania. That's where our own meteorologist Jordan Steele is. One of the areas expecting to see some big snowfall totals. And Jordan, it's been coming down. I've seen some people out and about enjoying that first real good snow in some time.
Let's hope we get a good producer, because, I was talking to a couple people today, and they're like, really? Are we really going to be getting 5 to 8 inches of snowfall? And I get it, because it's been so long since we've seen that move through. So if we can keep the snowfall coming down like we got right now, we got some good fatties consistently, no wind. It's that beautiful night where you could just walk around with your loved one and enjoy the snow and the quiet atmosphere, because you don't really have too many people on the roads. We're in downtown Scranton, of course, known famous for the fictional paper company Dunder Mifflin, and there's a lot of signs of that you could find here. But it's been pretty quiet, and we've been talking to, we talked to the Lackawanna County Commissioner. He mentioned that a couple of restaurant owners he knew were going to maybe shut up doors early today, maybe get home and just hang out by the fire and just enjoy time with the family. Now, as you can see, the roads are a little slushy. Just saw the bus come by. Really not all that bad in terms of, having public transportation shut down. But we know that there has been some problems on the interstate, so we want to urge everybody to please be careful. And if you can just enjoy a nice walk, maybe go ahead and do that, because it's nice for that. In fact, you look down this way and you barely got any tracks at all, so you can get some fresh tracks in the snow. And maybe you're a biker, you see the bike path here. So we are on the cusp of the, or right here on the doorstep, basically, of the Lackawanna County Courthouse, and this thing is a historic national monument. And just looking at this cute little square, lights are still on, everything's very vibrant and bright. And I think as we head into tomorrow, folks getting up and looking for places to sled and getting out and about, it'll be really exciting to see what people's thoughts are on what could be this nice big storm that we haven't seen in quite some time here. In fact, back in 2022 is the last time we saw a big snow event, a single day snow event. So let's hope that the forecast holds true here, and we can urge everybody to just kind of stay off the roads if you can. I know the plows have been doing everything they can to keep those roads clear for you, and they've been doing a really good job. Just looking at where the plows are, I know that's really nice, seeing the clock tower. Save the clock tower, famous from Back to the Future. I always think about that when I see a clock tower. So as we chime into a new year and a new hour, of course, we'll keep you guys posted on any kind of delays and how conditions will evolve over the next couple of hours. But Carl, forecast does call for snow to continue throughout the overnight hours. So hopefully by the time it's all said and done, we'll get the ruler out and be like, all right, we did it, half a foot. Over to you.
It's going to be really weird if you see a DeLorean coming down the street any moment here.
Yes, it will.
All right, Jordan, thank you so much.
Yes, it will.
Let's take a look at what's going on the radar here. And you see this conveyor belt of moisture that is driving up and into the northeast. You notice that transition zone sitting right about in there. So that has slowly been working a little farther to the north. We've seen a changeover in some areas in southeast Pennsylvania from snow to rain and freezing rain as well. A closer look here at the D.C. area. You notice it's got rain coming down in D.C. and Baltimore. It is snow in northern Maryland right now. We've got plenty of wet weather in the Delmarva, southern Jersey. Right in here is where we're seeing some freezing rain, actually moderate freezing rain now being reported in Lancaster as well as Pottstown and Doylestown. So very, very messy conditions. When you start getting those higher rainfall rates and it's freezing at the same time, that's not good news. A very difficult travel there in parts of southeast Pennsylvania. We've had some moderate and in some cases heavy snow, moderate snow in Selinsgrove and also up into Hazleton as well. It's been coming down for a little while now, so we've got a few inches of snow on the ground in Harrisburg, about the same in Mechanicsville as well, on our way to perhaps half a foot by the time it's all said and done. Snowing now in New York City, 34 degrees there. You notice we've got cloudy conditions farther northeast, snow in Mount Pocono, and then as we get up into upstate New York, not much happening right yet, even though there is snow on the radar here. It's actually fairly dry still, so it's going to take a little time to moisten up the atmosphere and get it all the way down to the ground. So here's a look at the model forecast. There's the low pressure right in there, and that lifts up and towards New York by late tonight. So that big arc of moisture is going to be driving then into northeast Pennsylvania, into southeast New York. The snowfall rates are going to be increasing over the next several hours as we go into this evening. That's when your heaviest snow is going to be moving into the Hudson Valley and into Connecticut, southern parts of New England. A lot of wind with the system as well. Overnight tonight, we see that big arc then coming into southern New England, and you see the heavier snow sitting there across parts of Connecticut as well as into Massachusetts. And again, the wind's pretty strong out of the east here. And then the whole thing does begin to lift up going into Sunday morning. But we've got another upper feature coming through. So it's not going to clear out the way that it often does in the wake of the storm. We're going to hold on to some light snow coming through with that upper feature that moves in behind this. So looking at the amounts going forward, you see a pretty sizable area with more than 5 inches of snow through the Adirondacks, through Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and then 8 to 12 inches in pockets there in parts of New England as well. So we're definitely looking for a healthy snowstorm. As is often the case, 95 is going to be the division between where we get a ton of snow and where we get not as much, especially there in the Boston area. A lot more north and west of town. So as you get out towards Worcester, up towards Andover, that's where we could be talking about 8, 9, 10 inches of of snow by the time it's all said and done. And again, it's going to be coming in with a lot of wind. This is a look at our wind forecast. Those winds really stepping up, coming into southern New England and also into Long Island late tonight, gusting 35 to 40 miles per hour, 30 to 35 there in Boston. That's going to go all night long in southern New England. There you go, 7 o'clock in the morning. Pretty strong wind here in Nantucket and also in Boston. And then as we go into the middle of the day tomorrow and then tomorrow evening, we switch around. We see an offshore flow, but still gusty as that low pressure makes its way out into the Canadian Maritime. So healthy storm coming through the northeast here over the next 24 hours or so. Alex, over to you.
Yeah, so we still have to watch for travel troubles across a lot of those northeast and New England airports and roadways, of course. Right now, things are doing okay at the airports. We don't have any major delays being reported from Boston all the way down to the D.C. area airports. Now, roadways, different story. Obviously, as Carl mentioned, we've got some freezing rain. So 83 over to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, northeast extension, 476. Could see some slick spots there with that moderate rain, freezing on contact. Travel forecast today does continue to offer up that rain, that wind along the coast. Inland, we've got the mix, we've got the freezing rain, and we've got the snow, at times heavy. That's going to really reduce visibility. So I-80 is going to be a tough one. I-81, I-90 there into parts of New York and Massachusetts, 95 as well. Into tonight, winds gusting 35 to 50 miles an hour. We could see some isolated power outages. I don't think we're looking at widespread power issues, but certainly some localized or isolated problems. Coastal flooding, also a concern. So areas along the coast will get battered by those onshore winds in the short term. As Carl mentioned, into tomorrow, they turn more offshore. Closer look here. Again, I-83, 476. Those are areas where we've got some of that freezing rain being reported right now. Lancaster at 34 with rain, York at 33. So again, some pockets of freezing rain even out there into the south central part of the state. Chambersburg, you're reporting ice and 30 degrees. So also Interstate 81 from Harrisburg down to Hagerstown, Maryland could see some trouble spots, especially as you get closer towards the state line. That would be a concerning location. Gettysburg 32 with a mix of rain and snow. Selinsgrove, you're going to continue to see the snow showers in the short term, but notice you guys even look at that ice, that wintry mix possibility. So we've got to watch places like Selinsgrove, Shamokin up towards Danville, that I-80 corridor there around the hospital. Those would be areas where I think roads could be dangerous. Pottsville, mix of rain and snow there. Lancaster, you change over to the chilly rain along with Philadelphia. And I think Allentown also looking at that changeover eventually to the rain and snow, or just the plain old rain by the time all is said and done. Winds change direction, so now we get that colder air pushing back through. That's going to change us back to snow into tomorrow morning. It's going to be pretty light at that point. The system continues to move off to the north and east. So this isn't going to bring us much in the way of accumulations, but at least ending with some light snow showers for places like Harrisburg and Camp Hill, up towards Pottsville, and again, getting closer to the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos before things really begin to dry out into tomorrow afternoon. So snowfall still to come. Harrisburg, you're not going to be picking up more. We've got the rain, we've got the wintry mix, and then again, that quick shot of snow at the end is just not going to accumulate. But areas along I-80, areas along I-99, so what, State College to Selinsgrove to Bloomsburg over to Hazleton, you guys could see another, 2 to 4 inches, I think is a safe bet. Pottsville, probably 1 to 2 inches for you. New York City, we've got moderate snow falling right now, but you can see that rain snow line is just so close, just to the south of the city. Areas into Jersey, you've got the cold rain. Temperatures in the 30s and rain falling. That's a miserable Saturday afternoon. As we move towards the dinner time hours, New York makes that change very quickly to rain snow mix. All snow then by the time we're at 8, 9 o'clock, and we're going to stay there for the foreseeable future. So overnight rain showers continue to fall around New York City. Obviously no accumulations when you get up on Sunday morning. And like some of the other areas, it may end with a quick shot of snow in the upstate or around New York City. I think some snow mixing with the rain tomorrow morning into the afternoon, but then moisture moves on out and we are just left with the cold, Carl.
So we want to talk about the next storm because this next one is going to be a monster storm. It's going to produce very heavy snow in the Midwest and a lot of rain along the East Coast in some areas where there is saturated ground, and that's going to cause some big problems in terms of flash flooding. So we're looking at Tuesday morning going into Wednesday morning here, looking at the possibility of flash flooding, likely though farther north. I want to show you the model forecast and show you what this storm looks like. So we get into Tuesday morning, 6 o'clock. o'clock in the morning, our low pressure center is right about in there. And you notice all the lines of equal pressure. So this is going to be a powerful storm. It's going to grab a lot of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico and then off the Atlantic, and it's going to throw it back into that cold air in the Midwest. So a substantial snowstorm is on the way for the Midwest. But on the east side, on the warm side of the storm where that moisture is coming up, rain is really going to be coming down here. Could be some severe weather as well in parts of the south, especially as you get closer to the Gulf Coast. But rain very heavy there along the 85 corridor by the middle of the day on Tuesday. Then that area of heavy rain moves up towards 95 in the Carolinas and Virginia going into Tuesday afternoon. Again, you see a lot of lines of equal pressure here, indicating a very steep change in pressure, and that usually means a lot of wind. So it's going to be a windy system as well. That heavy rain all the way up into the mid-Atlantic region. There's our snowstorm on the backside of the system. Then we go into Tuesday night, and that arc of heaviest rain begins to move up here into these heavily populated corridors along the 95 corridor there, and then also in areas where we've had a lot of rain already. So the ground is full of water, can't take a whole lot more. In addition, you've got concrete, you've got asphalt. You've got a lot of different reasons why this is going to be a flood concern going into Tuesday night. And here we see overnight into Wednesday morning, that heavy rain then coming up into southern parts of New England. So here you see the area, and this is really remarkable that this is out so early. It's been out for a little while now, where we have likely flash flooding in the New York City metro area, in northern parts of New Jersey, and also in southeastern parts of New York. That is what we're expecting to see. And a quick look at the timing for you here. In the precip, there you see the amounts of precip, very heavy there as you get into the tri-state area, and we're expecting that there's going to be rain going on for much of the day on Tuesday. This is the model forecast. Gets going here in the afternoon and then continues through the rest of the day on Tuesday and goes into early Wednesday as well. Alex, over to you.
And then, Carl, there's a snowy side, and we could be looking at blizzard conditions across parts of the plains into the Midwest. We look live at St. Louis and Chicago. Winter Storm Finn bringing heavy snow and gusty winds early to mid next week for this stretch of the country. St. Louis right now 39, 34 in Chicago. Some big snow possible in some of these areas. Our forecast models continue to break down those possibilities. Right now, Chicago, our forecast, and again, expect this to change. We are still days away. This is Monday through Wednesday. We've got Chicago in that 2-inch range. I think for a place like DeKalb, you could be in that 5 to 10-inch range, probably 8+ over here along I-88. I think more the 5, 6, 7 inches along I-90. So the farther you get to the north and west of the Chicago metro area, looks to be a good snowfall for you. Chicago, Monday night, snow moves in. It continues during the day Tuesday. Tuesday night, we wrap up the snow. Wednesday left with cloudy skies and temperatures barely above the freezing mark. So no issues keeping that snow around. You're not going to have the solar insulation, and you're not going to have temperatures very warm. So what do we know right now in regards to Winter Storm Finn? That storm moves inland over the Pacific Northwest today. So we're seeing snow already across the Northwest. It will intensify on Sunday while it moves towards the plains, deepening low. Big system, big winds, and a lot of impacts from the plains with snow and wind expected for the Midwest by early week. And as Carl mentioned, across the east, a lot of areas are going to get in on a lot of rain. So there is the system into the early part of the week. Again, it's a very large system. We've got the cold air in place. We've also got warm, moist air down near the Gulf Coast. That's going to fuel a significant severe threat. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up.
Welcome back, everybody, as we continue our coverage tracking Winter Storm Ember. It has been hitting Pennsylvania pretty good throughout the day today. Of course, starting off south and west, Pittsburgh got it, and of course working its way through the state capital. And now we're seeing it engulf pretty much the entire state as everything kind of moves its way through the Northeast. And that very Instagrammable, iconic night. The flakes are falling. The wind isn't too bad. We ran into a town local. Here we got Erica Nealon, who's been strolling the grounds, and she's like, hey, I like the Weather Channel. What's going on? I said, oh, you excited about the snow?
Not really.
So I found someone who's not a fan of the snow, but, you know, it's been a while since you guys have had this. I mean, you dressed the part. You got the shoes, you got the parka, you got the hat. Come on, what's not to like?
I'm always ready for the snow. And it has been a while since we've had any.
That's
so
true.
This is fine. I'm fine with it. It's good. It's a Saturday. Nice night in.
That's right, right. And you know what, for you, it's nice too, because you don't have to drive around. You can just walk around. You know, she actually works at the courthouse. She lives down the street. And so you got this beautiful twinkling lights in the backdrop. It is very Instagrammable, isn't it?
It really is. It's very pretty.
Okay, speaking of that, we have a moment here. We showed it in the last hour. We're going to show it again. You pan to my right, your left, and you've got a couple that has been out dancing in the snow. You know, the word is, Erica, that they just got engaged.
Wow, congratulations to them.
Congratulations to them, right? They're not even from here. I went and chatted with them. They're a couple from Ukraine here visiting. They don't speak a lot of English, but they just got engaged and, of course, decided to take the time to take the beautiful photos in the snow. I always feel bad in situations like this. They're not wearing much. They look cold.
They do look freezing.
Chilly out here. Temperatures have consistently been in the 30s today. And Erica might like to know this. You know, it looks like, you know, we've got the winter storm warning that has been around, and we were kind of thinking 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. Maybe by morning thinking more of a 4 to 6 approach, which would be nice to maybe just kind of sit back and sit inside on a Sunday anyway, right?
Yeah, that sounds lovely. I love a nice, relaxing Sunday.
I do as well. Well, all right, you guys. So as we continue to keep an eye on the roads, we obviously have been watching on PennDOT. They've been doing such a great job with plowing these roads, and so far where we are in Scranton, things seem to be okay, but that Highway 81 still seems to be a really tricky corridor to drive on. So if you don't have to drive tonight, be like Erica, walk around, sit inside, enjoy it, and this storm should be out of here by the time we head into tomorrow. Carl, I'll send it back to you, my friend.
Jordan, that is really the key. If you don't have to do anything, then snow is a whole lot of fun. It's when you have to do something that it stops being so much fun. Thank you so much, and we'll get back to you in just a second. Let's take a look at what's going on the radar right now, and you see that area of rain that is driving up through the mid-Atlantic region, and we're seeing some warmer air slowly but surely pushing a little farther north. It's a chilly rain in Baltimore right now, as well as into Philly. Farther north here, we get into the snow in Harrisburg, as well as Scranton. We've had some reports of some moderate snow in central Pennsylvania at State College, and also in Hazleton and in Selinsgrove. And then right in that transition area, that's where we're getting into some freezing rain. We've actually had some moderate freezing rain. We've changed back over now in Pottstown, but moderate freezing rain in Lancaster and also in Doylestown. That certainly can be very messy when it's coming down at a pretty good rate. Obviously, see, you've got some pretty good rain coming down farther south there. So as that moves into that area where you've got cold air right at the surface, going to be pretty messy. We haven't seen a lot of accumulation being reported just thus far. Norrisville with 0.05, Lebanon getting 2.5 inches of snow, Middleburg 2 inches of snow. And then as we get farther north here, we've got snow into New York City. Right now, it's just beginning to show up in the Hudson Valley, Mount Pocono, 24 degrees and snow, and not much going on so far in New England, but that is going to change really radically overnight tonight. This is the model forecast, and you see that band of heavier precipitation comes up into the tri-state area. So the snowfall rates will be increasing in northeast Pennsylvania, southeast New York, southern parts of New England. The winds stepping up as well. That goes overnight, and then into tomorrow morning, early in the morning, we see the snowfall really increasing there in southern parts of New England. Alex, over to you.
All right, then, Carl, before the break, I promised some details on the severe danger that's going to come courtesy of our next winter storm, Finn. We look live at Houston and New Orleans. It is going to be the warm side of winter storm Finn that will bring the threat of severe storms, and very frequently with these types of systems, we see that. Both areas warm, 63 in Houston, 57 in New Orleans. Not bad for early parts of January. We've got blue sky now, but things changing. Much more turbulent as we head into the early part of the week. So Monday's severe risk does feature a higher chance of strong to severe thunderstorms along the I-10 corridor. Areas like Victoria and Houston, all the way over towards Panama City and Apalachicola. So we've got a lot of real estate, a lot of population along I-10 that's going to be under the gun for severe weather. Monday, there's Winter Storm Finn. That southeast surface winds near the warm front will be providing the moisture. And of course, anytime around a warm front, we can get a little extra spin. Now, out of the southwest, or strong winds will turn southwest aloft. So you've got the southeasterly winds at the surface, southwest aloft. That gives us turning of winds with height. That could lead to a tornado threat in addition to damaging winds and hail. With strong mid-level winds aloft, also damaging winds overnight.
The power of the Weather Channel, now available to everyone.
This is epic!
Trusted live coverage when it matters most is now yours to stream with the Weather Channel TV app. Real-time radar, maps that let you track all the action, and so much more. Available now on these platforms. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
Well, take a look at this. The first blast of heavy snow in Pennsylvania's capital city in more than 1,000 days. We've had heavy snow coming down this afternoon in Harrisburg. I want to welcome you back into our special coverage as we track 2 winter storms that are going to be affecting millions of people. We've got Winter Storm Ember happening now across the Northeast. Well, Winter Storm Finn, it's waiting in the wings, bringing snow to the Pacific Northwest today. But by the early to mid part of next week, we've got snow, we've got severe, and we've got big rain. I'm Alex Wilson here with our storm specialist, Carl Parker. And Carl, it's going to be a really busy week for a lot of people.
Yeah, it really is, because we've got another really intense storm coming through the eastern part of the country going into Tuesday and Wednesday. So a major snowstorm on the way for the Midwest and a serious flooding risk as well for a lot of the East Coast. We're going to talk more about that coming up here in a moment.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that some of these areas that get big snow could then see big rain and warm temperatures on top of that. But we've got more than 47 million people under winter alerts of some kind right now, thanks to our 2 storms. So you can see the alerts across the west and southwest, and then our northeastern areas. Again, nearly 50 million people under some kind of warning. Notice blizzard warning. We put it up there, and nobody under those now. But with Winter Storm Finn, there is the potential for blizzard conditions. So we'll watch for those numbers to possibly go up. Here's what we know right now about our winter storms. Airlines are warning people to prepare for flight delays and flight cancellations. Amtrak rail service also modifying due to winter storms. So check the status on those tickets. New York has deployed more than 1,600 large plow trucks statewide to clear roads. Right now, we've got some moderate snow falling on that I-81 corridor from Binghamton up to Syracuse. Also along I-81 or just south of it, Jordan Steele. He is in Scranton, Pennsylvania, up towards the Wilkes-Barre area. That's where you begin to jump on I-81. But you guys have seen some good snow, and people are excited, right? It's like proposals and snow angels and generally good stuff.
Right, because the people that aren't excited about it are sitting at home and throwing stuff at the TV like, no, we don't want any more, right? But you know what? The ones that are enjoying it are out and about, and I'm enjoying kind of hearing their stories, seeing where they're from. There's a gentleman we talked to from Delaware, drove all the way out here to Scranton because he's like, you know, we're going to be on the rain side of this. So I wanted to drive to Delaware, or I wanted to drive to Scranton to actually get into the snow action. So it's cool to see that as well, because anytime you get a snowfall, if you haven't seen it for a while, it does put a big smile on your face. Now, with that being said, we kind of had a similar conversation with the Lackawanna County Commissioner about just that. Here's what he had to say.
Well, it's been difficult the last few years, but we have a couple of mountains here, Elk Mountain up in Susquehanna County, Montage Mountain here in Lackawanna County. We have great snow crews. They do a very good job, but they have to, because we just don't get the snow like we used to. But over Christmas was a little tough. You know, we had some rain, but we'll get it back.
We'll get it back. Let's do that, shall we? It's been, what, a couple of years. March of 2022, we had a storm system that produced 7 inches of snow. We haven't yet seen a storm that produced anything near that until this one. Let's hope we get 4 or 5, maybe 6 inches by the time we head into tomorrow. That would be nice. So we're in, the square area of Scranton, the downtown region. Got a beautiful area here and a lot of history in this town, whether it's, symbols like Christopher Columbus, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, to Veterans Memorial Park behind us. But Alex, you see the sign that's all lit up, the Scranton Electric City. It's called the Electric City. And for that, it's because this is the first city in the nation that had your your town car run completely on electricity, right? So your little trolley car that runs through town, this was the first town that had it fully electric, which is pretty cool.
I did not know that. I knew it was called the Electric City, did not know why, and I'm from just down the road. Huh. The more you know. Jordan, look at you.
There you go.
Weather information, historical information. I feel like I'm going to use that in my Jeopardy appearance in the future. Thank you.
Snow dancer.
Yes.
Snow dancer extraordinaire.
Definitely need more of that. You're crushing it out there. Jordan, we're going to check back in with you. Practice your moves and don't forget to stretch in between. Remember, it's cold. Your muscles can lock up. 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates up where Jordan is. So we've got Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. We've got Williamsport up towards the Wellsboro area, Grand Canyon and Pennsylvania. You're getting in on some of that moderate snow. Elmira, New York, Ithaca, New York, Syracuse, New York. That stretch along I-88, I-86, I-81. Things are going to be tough with low visibility. So as the sun goes down this afternoon and into the evening hours, could be a rough travel evening for a lot of folks. Buffalo, it's light snow for you. State College, moderate snow. Really, State College, the cutoff. So State College and East, that's where some of the heaviest of snow is. You can see some of these deeper shades of blue. So just off to the west of the I-81 corridor there, that's where we're seeing some of the heaviest snow. Also seeing some ice along I-81. So Chambersburg down towards about Hagerstown in Maryland could see some issues. Parts of the panhandle of West Virginia, too. I'd be watching the Martinsburg area, so keep an eye on that car thermometer. New York, light snow now, but that will quickly change over to a mix, then all rain as we move into the evening. It's going to be parts of the interior Northeast and New England that get the heaviest snow overnight and end up with the highest amounts.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele coming to you from Scranton, Pennsylvania. We've been tracking Winter Storm Ember as it's working its way across the state of Pennsylvania through New England. And, of course, we've got the next system on the heels of this one. We'll get to that, but I want to do a road check now just to kind of show you what it's like in the downtown area. Been pretty quiet since the snow started. You know, we started probably, seeing flakes here between the 1 and 2 o'clock hour. And it's been, light to moderate pretty consistently. And you can see we've got some slush on the roads. This is the downtown area. Highways are going to be looking much better than this. The plows have been pretty consistent with more and more traffic, but we have had reports of some spinouts out there. And so we want to urge everyone to please be careful. Getting a report of some local businesses down here, that they are going to close a little early as anticipated because of a system like this. Good old-fashioned winter storm that they haven't seen in quite some time. Still waiting for the reports to come in Scranton. Looking at other OBS across the state, ranging anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. Some cases we've seen some isolated spots more than that. And I'd say, just looking at what I know, we're right between the 1 to 2 inch range right now. And the forecast still calls for snow as we head into the night tonight. Still that nice push, that moisture surge that's coming into New England, bringing the wind on the coast. So I think we're going to keep snowfall rates pretty decent for the next several hours. By the time we head into tomorrow morning, a lot of that should taper off. We'll get more of the light stuff on top of this. But you always ask, as I squat down here, you're right, Alex, I should have stretched. What the snowball situation is like, and it's okay. You had a higher moisture content earlier, but that's doable. Come here, Jamie. Let me throw this at you. Yeah. So you got a good snowball hit there that you could use for the kids tomorrow morning. I think it'd be a good day to do that.
Jordan, tell him to walk back in because we didn't get to see Jamie get hit with the snowball, and that's obviously the real payoff for viewers. Thank you.
All right.
This is what the viewers
want
to see.
You get hit, Jamie. Yeah. Just stay right there. You want a front or back?
Jamie.
Nice little roundabout.
So it's not like a super painful one, right? It kind of just.
It's a soft snow, so it's fine. Not painful at all.
No, he's going to get you in the break too. Let's be real, Jordan. And Jordan, stretch.
Let's be real.
Again, we've all been there. We're not getting younger. Hang in there. All right, we're going to get back to yeah, there you go. I'd say have Jamie stretch you out, but he's not going to help you now. You're on your own. Flakes flying yesterday in the Chicago area. This is Joliet. Last night, about 1/10 of an inch of snow fell in the area. So, Looks like it was coming down at a decent clip. It just didn't come down for long. More snow on the way, though, courtesy of Winter Storm Finn. This is a storm that's right now moving across the Pacific Northwest. So we've got snow falling into that part of the country as we speak. It digs down to the south and east, and then we'll be looking at a big powerhouse storm into the early and mid part of next week. Could see blizzard conditions, could see very heavy snow for the plains and the Midwest. Right now, water vapor imagery, there is the system. Again, it's going to continue on this trajectory, get over the southern plains and really take off. This storm's going to deepen, and it's going to be a huge storm. So we're going to be seeing widespread effects all across the middle part of the country, all the way up towards the Great Lakes. So as it moves into the plains, it strengthens. Snow and wind would bring the possibility of blizzard conditions. We've also got the risk for strong to severe storms down along the Gulf Coast. And unfortunately, Carl's going to talk about some of the areas that are getting in on the rain or the heavy snow from Ember. Could be looking at really heavy rain courtesy of Finn. That could spell a double, 1-2 punch when it comes to a significant flood risk. But the gusty winds and snow set up for some of our big Midwest cities, including a Chicago, a St. Louis, a Kansas City. Right now, we think it's Kansas City to areas northwest of Chicago that'll likely see themselves in some of the heaviest of snow. So, hey, I'd be looking at a place like Dubuque, Iowa, over towards maybe Madison, Wisconsin for a heavy footprint of snow. Snowfall totals 5 to 8 inches where you see the purple. I think some areas could exceed that. We'll be making adjustments, obviously, as the forecast models continue to update. But look at these winds going through Monday and into Tuesday. We go from winds gusting in Cheyenne around 30 miles an hour to 50-mile-an-hour gusts in Colby and some of those big Midwest cities by Tuesday afternoon, gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour. So with snow falling, very low visibilities. But Carl, there's also the rain side of Finn.
Yeah, we wanted to focus in on the Northeast because that's where this flood risk is going to be significant coming up here on Tuesday. And first of all, I want to show you the flash flood guidance. So this is the amount of rain that it would take to cause flash flooding in 1 hour. And look how low that is. In parts of northern New Jersey right now, you're talking about as little as a half of an inch to an inch, even less than a half of an inch to cause flooding in the space of 1 hour. And so we've got a lot of rain coming in right now, rain coming in tonight, but then this next system is going to be even more powerful, very strong low that Alex mentioned right in there. That moves over into the eastern part of the country, so heavy rain sets up along the 85 corridor, 75 corridor on Tuesday, middle of the day. Then later in the day comes over here into the Virginia and the Carolinas, and then by very late on Tuesday, that's when that axis of heaviest moisture starts to come up there into the Northeast. So that's when we're going to be looking at a significant flood threat there in the Northeast. That'll continue through the overnight and into Wednesday morning. So it is likely that we will see flash flooding in parts of New Jersey and New York. And we'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes. I want to tell you about severe weather right now on the southern side of this storm in South Florida. There is a new tornado warning to tell you about in Broward County, very tiny area that is in the Fort Lauderdale area. There's the tornado warning polygon. And so we're watching the southwest edge of that cell right there, and that is moving off to the east at 25 miles per hour. So coming towards Rio Vista Isles and also Sunrise Key as that continues towards the east. So possible tornado here. Again, a tornado warning for Broward Broward County. That is going until 6 p.m. this evening. There is a fair amount of wind shear in this area. Winds coming out of the south at the surface, and then there are some stronger winds aloft and about a mile up right in there coming out of a different direction. So just enough to give these storms some spin, and we've got just enough instability indicated by that yellow coloring there. And we'll have more on this as necessary. Let's get to Alex right now.
Yeah, I want to take you to the New York City area. Right now, we've got 34 degrees on the thermometer. We've been reporting light snow, but very quickly things are going to turn over to rain. You can see the roadways are wet, right? You see the cars that are on the slow side. I think people are stopped at a light, though, but it's the glare of the wet roadways that you're going to be up against. So road conditions have been okay given the temperatures above freezing. So even with the snow, it hasn't been bad. And again, these roads are going to stay wet. Rain to snow mix, then all rain overnight, and that'll wrap up into tomorrow morning. Carl, we could see a few snowflakes in New York to end, but again, by that point, the moisture is moving out, and this is not going to be the big event that I think some New Yorkers were hoping it was going to be. Especially the kiddos. They've been waiting a while for snow. 1 inch is all they'd like in New York, and it's just not happening.
Not really happening, no. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of rain on the way coming up here on Tuesday. Looking at some of the model guidance showing what is going to be coming with this storm as it moves in, it's really rather remarkable. I want to show you the latest model indications of how much rain is on the way here. There you see these areas of yellow showing up in the tri-state area. That is the European model, and that is Tuesday going into Wednesday. Here is the American model. Similar signature showing very heavy rain in those heavily populated areas. And of course, when you've got a lot of concrete and a lot of asphalt, that tends to worsen the situation. But also the ground is full of water. And this is a look at the flash flood guidance. So this tells us how much rain would be needed to cause flash flooding. And when the flash flood guidance is very low, which it is, that means it's not going to take a lot. You notice these orange colors right in here, also the red colors there across northern New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania. That's showing you where you need half of an inch to an inch of rain, which is not very much in an hour's time to cause flash flooding, and we certainly could be in for that. We've also got a lot of rain that's going to be coming through tonight, so that's only going to lower that flash flood guidance, at least for a time. And then you've got this next storm coming in here on the heels of that. So here we go into Tuesday. There's the low pressure center right in there. Big arc of moisture coming up into the southeast, into Georgia, into the Carolinas. That continues to press up towards Raleigh and Richmond later in the day on Tuesday. Then driving up into New York and New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, come very late Tuesday. That continues through the overnight on Tuesday and into early Wednesday morning. So it's really going to be late Tuesday through the overnight into early Wednesday morning when we see the greatest threat for flash flooding. And right now, you see an area where there is likely flash flooding here. So that's been out well ahead of time for northern New Jersey and southeast New York, and then possible flash flooding over a much larger area. And that area of likely flash flooding could very well expand in the coming days here. That's certainly possible. So we've got a lot to watch with this next storm coming in Tuesday and Wednesday. Alex, over to you.
All right, Carl, I want to get you back to Florida. We've got Broward County remaining under a tornado warning here. It's the south and east of Fort Lauderdale, the area of concern. We've seen some storms rolling through South Florida over the last few hours. And right now it is to the east of the I-95 corridor. Honestly, this storm is now moving offshore. You can see that system overall, like we've got a little bit of rain to the east of Fort Lauderdale, but that would be the area in which the tornado would be located. When we look at the correlation coefficient, this is showing us objects that would be non-meteorological in the atmosphere. You can see that pretty well-defined area of green. And so anything in red, that's going to be rain or hail. Once you get into the greens and blues, that tells us, hey, we've got something that's not a weather object. It's not a raindrop. It's not a hailstone. This might be tree debris, structural debris. And so very likely we may have had a tornado roll through the southeast side of Fort Lauderdale. The good news, again, this is moving off A1A and moving out over the Atlantic. So this is now offshore. We remain under that tornado warning, but again, may have seen some damage there right along the A1A corridor. At this point, we do have a few thunderstorms off to the south and west of Miami, stretching down through extreme South Florida, but the worst of the weather for a place like Fort Lauderdale moving on out. We've got the tornado warning in effect for until the top of the hour. But again, at this point, the threat has gone down to everyone except those out over the Atlantic. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our special coverage. We want to give you a quick update on the tornado warning in Broward County in Florida. We are now getting in some video of a funnel, at least, coming through the Fort Lauderdale area. Ongoing tornado warning here. It does appear that that cell is now moving offshore. You can see the back edge of the cell sitting right there along the coast. So it does appear that we no longer have a threat here, but it's been interesting to look at some of the data. One of these items that we can look at is what's called the correlation coefficient, and this is showing us where there may be some debris, and so that one pixel, that one little bin, as we call it, right there, may be indicative of where we saw some, at least some damage coming off that A1A corridor as that storm moved out over the open water. Looking at what's going on here with the wind shear, we've got some low-level wind shear in place, so we may see an ongoing threat for some isolated tornado warnings. Alex, over to you.
All right, well, we've got Winter Storm Ember. It's hammering parts of the Northeast right now. We've got a wintry mix, heavy snow, gusty winds. We thank you so much for staying with us here on the Weather Channel. Our special live coverage continues as we continue to track Ember. And then we've got Winter Storm Finn to talk about as well. I'm, of course, Alex Wilson with Carl Parker. You just saw him. Carl, we've got the severe weather in Florida. We got a lot on our plate today.
Yeah, for millions of people, this is the first significant snowfall in years. And we're going to be talking about as much as a foot of snow in parts of New England and upstate New York. We're going to have more on all of that coming up here in just a few minutes. But first, we want to get out to Northeast Pennsylvania, an area that you are very familiar with.
Yes, yeah, just up the road. I'm from Allentown, but we've got Scranton, Pennsylvania getting in on some good snow. Jordan, my family in Allentown, said they've had the snow, but it looks like Scranton will be one of the big winners. I've also gotten some tweets that HR is probably not happy with me for telling you to throw snowballs at Jamie.
That was funny. Wasn't that funny? Gosh, that was so funny. Jamie, come here. No, I'm just teasing.
Funny.
I was like, let's do it again. Right? That's why it's funny, because it's not me. It's you. No, I'm just teasing. All right, I want to bring it back to talk to a gentleman I just ran into. We've got a middle school / high school student, Matthew, here, who just got off the mountain, and I wanted to get some perspective of what the ski resorts are looking like right now because of this snowfall. And so today, Matthew, I was actually looking at the cameras, and I was seeing you had a lot of good man-made snow up to this point. Yeah. How is it now that Mother Nature's actually providing?
Well, it's been great. We got the snow. Now we got like a nice base of snow, and it's been powdery, and it was just a little windy up there, so it's going to be cold and windy, but otherwise it's been great up there.
I mean, cold is good. Obviously, the wind is no fun for a skier, but at least the snowpack will stay there, hopefully for another day to 2 days before things change, because you know the forecast coming up.
So it looks like some rain in the forecast, which stinks, but I'm going to enjoy all the snow now while I can for until the rain comes back.
Okay, and how long you been skiing?
4 years.
4 years. Yeah. So at what point do you feel comfortable with going off the groomed runs, maybe getting into the trees? I mean, would 4 to 6 inches be enough?
It depends how much rocks. Like if it's like steep, like there's a lot of rocks, it wouldn't be enough. But like if it's like higher on the mountain with like on the blues, like the second highest terrain, you would probably be fine.
And you're not the only one. You got buddies up there too?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sure their stoke meter, I call it the stoke meter, is all high.
Yeah, it's so high up there. Everyone's so hyped. It's so fun. Like,
okay, give me the best verbiage. What are they talking? We're like, dude, that powder's gnar.
We're like, so we're skiing and we're like, woohoo, this powder's awesome. We're like spraying ourselves, stopping it on the snow. It's so fun. It's absolutely awesome up
there. All right, high five, man. I'm so glad you guys are getting it, because it's been a while since you guys have had it.
I know. In like 2020 in early December, we got like 20 inches up here, and that was the last time we got a big snowstorm.
It's been a while. It's been several years. So take advantage of it. We know, I'm just going to give the forecast here, and then we'll talk to you after. Okay, all right. We know these snowfall rates are going to be pretty consistent probably for the next couple of hours. Thinking after the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to kind of see things change a little bit. Maybe kind of get some more of that cooler air to come through the overnight and tomorrow. I think we're going to have lingering flurries tomorrow, but I just don't know how much more accumulating snow we're going to get into your Sunday. So get the heavy stuff done now. Let the plows do their job overnight so that tomorrow, if people need to get out and about, maybe you want to go sledding, maybe you want to get up to the mountain, it could be a good day to do that. And I would urge you to do that, because we know Finn, the next winter storm on the horizon, is going to bring some big changes to this area. Unfortunately, everything we're seeing here is likely going to melt, and we're going to be seeing a lot of runoff right there into the Lackawanna River, and we could be looking at potentially a pretty big flood threat, especially if we get 2 inches of rainfall or more which is kind of what we're thinking this next storm could do. But in the meantime, we still have the snow coming down. Stoke meters high. People are out enjoying their nice leisurely walk, Carl, and we'll enjoy it for this evening at least. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, you can't beat the timing on this. For most people, it's just an enjoyable storm. Jordan, thank you so much. And let's take a look at what's happening on the radar right now. And you've got this big feed of moisture now driving in off the Atlantic Ocean. So it is wet farther south. You've got rain now in Baltimore and Salisbury across the Delmarva. You see the back edge of all this. So it's going to be getting drier in Maryland and Virginia before too long here. We've got some freezing rain in that transition zone between the rain and the snow, getting some freezing rain still in Martinsburg and Hagerstown. Lancaster's been reporting moderate freezing rain for a while now. I would imagine the roads are getting kind of tough there into Lancaster County. And then you've also got rain here in Philly. We've actually seen some heavy rain to the south in Wilmington, southern parts of New Jersey. Farther north, we've got a little bit of snow in New York right now. We've got freezing rain being reported in Harrisburg and also in Altoona, snow coming down in Scranton and Williamsport, some moderate snow in between. We've gotten now 5 inches of snow in Harrisburg and nearly 6 inches in Cashtown, so we're just about at the half-foot mark in some spots with more on the way. Farther north, snow coming down in Bridgeport now as the atmosphere has been moistening up, but still trying to do that through a lot of southern New England and eastern New York. Getting some snow, though, in Poughkeepsie, and right now getting some moderate snow into Syracuse. And so going forward, we're going to watch that center of low pressure come up towards the tri-state area later tonight, so that big arc of moisture driving into southeastern parts of New England and New York. That's where the heavier snowfall rates are going to be later tonight. And that'll continue then to move up into New England through the overnight and then into early tomorrow morning. Winds picking up coming out of the east here, some pretty strong wind, 30+ miles per hour. And then even into tomorrow, as the storm is beginning to pull away, an upper level system is going to be moving through. So we're going to see some continuing light snow through a lot of the Northeast, even into your Sunday. But the heaviest of snow is going to be centered here in eastern New York, as well as into New England, talking about as much as a foot of snow in parts of Massachusetts and into New Hampshire and Vermont, and also into parts of Maine as well. Very healthy snowstorm. And Alex, we have not seen much snow in the last couple of years here.
No, we haven't. And luckily things are doing okay when it comes to travel. Now, a lot of these airports are in the rain and not the snow. So we'll see how Boston does once the snow really starts to work in earnest. But LaGuardia, JFK, Newark, Philadelphia, BWI, and our 2 D.C. airports, Dulles and Reagan National, all reporting green, which would mean no significant delays. Now, road conditions, those are going to be a little bit trickier, especially into parts of southeast Pennsylvania where we do have that freezing rain being reported. So watching that into parts of, say, the Lancaster area over towards Chambersburg, so even in the south central part of the state. Moderate snow along I-81 from Syracuse all the way down towards the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. Coastal rain and wind, that will continue today and tonight with the inland areas getting in on the snow. Some moderate to heavy snow would also reduce visibility. So expect dangerous travel, especially now that the sun's going down. It's going to be tough to see at times. Winds gusting 35 to 50 miles an hour tonight. So we will see coastal flooding concerns with that onshore push, and isolated power outages would be something I'd be watching for. I don't think we're going to see a ton of them, but just have that flashlight ready to go, have the phone charged, because if you don't have the flashlight and the phone's not charged, that's the best way to guarantee that you will see a power outage, right? And then you don't know where anything is, and you're like, awesome. Right now, New York still reporting the moderate snow, but the roads have been wet. We're looking at video, by the way, from Barnesville, Pennsylvania. So it's been a really pretty winter wonderland for a lot of the interior parts of the Northeast. Long Branch, you've got gusty winds and rain and temperatures in the low 40s. Meanwhile, Troy Hills and Edison, moderate snow for you. Bridgeport, Connecticut, also reporting moderate snow. Moving through the remainder of this evening and into tonight, we're going to see that snow change over to rain. Coastal sections of Connecticut, so even Bridgeport and Greenwich, Yonkers, up towards Patterson. You're going to get in on the cold rain. So we will see that snow gone. Not that it's accumulating in a lot of these areas at this point anyway, but even any snow that has managed to fall on the mulched areas or the grassy surfaces, it's out of here with the rain. Now, tomorrow, mid to late morning, you may see a quick shot of snow or rain-snow mix around the New York metro. However, at that point, a lot of the moisture has been moving on out, and so there won't be much to speak for. No accumulations expected by then. So New York, There's your accumulation. Nothing. We get you up towards Yonkers, maybe an inch, but I doubt you'll see much of that with the rain moving in. Meanwhile, you get into upstate New York, you get into interior parts just north of the 95 corridor there in Connecticut, 84. That's where we can see 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. So truly a big difference in tens of miles here in the Northeast. Providence to Hartford, you've got the snow continuing through the remainder of tonight. Into the 1 o'clock hour, rain snow line gets awfully close to Providence. I think you will at times see the rain or the rain snow mix. Hartford, you're in it to win it with the snow. Springfield, Worcester in Massachusetts, you guys have all snow. And so these are the areas that are going to see the accumulations really piling up by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening. Snow winds down, but by the time all is said and done, could be looking at double-digit snowfall for some of these areas, including areas around and north of Hartford over towards Springfield, Massachusetts. I think some 10-inch amounts likely, probably 8 inches for a place like Webster. So you're traveling into interior sections of Massachusetts. That's where you are going to see the impacts, even around the Boston area. Accumulations likely. Portland cloudy now, but the snow, it's on the way. Coastal sections of Maine, you've got snow late this evening, snow overnight, and snow continues through a good chunk of our Sunday. Look at Sunday, mid to late afternoon. It's still coming down with the snow finally ending by late Sunday. Carl?
So we've got another big storm on the way, and along with this next storm, we're expecting that there's going to be a flood threat for a lot of the east, but specifically right around the tri-state area, northern Jersey, and also into parts of eastern Pennsylvania and New York. There you see the forecast for heavy rain there, and notice the area that kind of jumps out. That's where some of the heaviest of rain is going to be in some areas that are getting 5, 6, 7 inches of snow. So with all that snow on the ground, there's going to be a lot of moisture in the ground, and when you add 2 to 3 inches or more of rain to that, you start talking about significant potential for flooding. So this right now is the outlook for flash flooding. It is likely in parts of New Jersey as well as southeastern New York going from Tuesday into Wednesday. And this is a look at the flash flood guidance. This is part of what goes into that. Right in there, I want you to notice the area where you've got orange coloring and a little bit of red. That's where it would take as little as a half of an inch of rain to an inch of rain in the space of 1 hour to cause flash flooding. That's where it stands right now. That could actually worsen with all the rain and the snow that's going to be coming in. You see the rain now moving up, climbing up through central parts of New Jersey right now. Now this is the model showing you the next storm. So the low pressure center right in here, that's Tuesday morning. A lot of wet weather ahead of that, all kinds of moisture being grabbed up from the Gulf of Mexico, from the Atlantic. So this axis of heaviest moisture moving into parts of Georgia and the 85 corridor, that's going to be around the middle of the day on Tuesday. A major storm here on the backside, a winter storm for the Midwest, including potentially Chicago. And then here we go into Tuesday afternoon. We see that heavy rain moving up into the Carolinas, into Virginia. Then late on Tuesday, that's when that axis of heaviest rain comes up there into New Jersey and also into New York. So that's going to be the key time going into the evening on Tuesday and then through the overnight on Tuesday, when we could be looking at 2-3 inches plus of rainfall in areas where there's been a lot of rain, where there's been a lot of snow, where there's a lot of concrete, where there's a lot of asphalt. So this could be a significant flood event for New York City and surrounding areas. 5 o'clock in the morning, we've still got the rain coming down there into southern parts of New England, only gradually winding down through the morning there in New York City. Here's another look at what we're expecting. There's the storm moving in. We've got the wintry precipitation in interior parts of the Northeast, but this is going to be a much warmer storm relative to what's happening right now. So a lot of areas where we're seeing snow now are going to be getting rain with this next storm. Alex, over to you.
That could be a really, really tough combo for these areas and the rivers and streams in them. St. Louis, Chicago, you guys are going to be on the wintry side of Winter Storm Finn, and it will be an expansive wintry side, a very powerful wintry side as well. This is going to be a big storm with big winds. We could see blizzard conditions across parts of the plains and the Midwest by early to mid next week. So enjoy the tranquil weather while you've got it. Things are really going to change. And of course, it's right when you go back to work and school. And now we can do school from home. So it's not even as fun to root for those snow days because you're like, oh, it just means I'm just going to have to do school at home, and I still can't play in the snow. St. Louis, we start with afternoon rain on Monday, change over to a mix of rain and snow. I think we're going to keep that going on Tuesday, wrapping up with snow. Temperatures around 26 by Tuesday night. With that said, we still have a little ways to go. We're going to be altering this forecast and obviously making fine tunes to those totals that are expected. The storm is over the Pacific Northwest today, so already these areas are getting in on some of that snow. It will intensify Sunday while it moves towards the plains, so really deepens as it gets into parts of Oklahoma and Texas, the southern plains, and then this thing takes off. I mean, it is going to be a beast of a system early to mid next week. And as Carl mentioned, there's that rain threat across parts of the Northeast, and then there's the big snow threat. There's also a severe component. We're going to talk more about that. This could bring significant severe weather to parts of the Gulf Coast. So the I-10 corridor, we saw some strong storms with Ember. Finn, I think, is going to bring a more significant and more dangerous severe risk. But there's the gusty winds and the snow across parts of the plains and into the Midwest by the early to mid part of next week. Alerts are already posted for parts of the Four Corners. We've got winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, and then you can see the stretch of winter storm watches into the Central Plains. Places like Omaha could be getting big snow out of this. Salina and Kansas City, Dodge City, you're also in that footprint. So 5 to 8 inches is what we expect in that purple. I think some areas could even exceed that. There's where the storm goes from there and could leave another footprint of heavy snow into our Midwestern cities. Well, we are tracking our winter storms. We've got a team out there from Virginia up into New England. More coming up after this.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele coming to you from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and we are tracking Winter Storm Ember. And I'd say we are probably getting the heaviest snowfall rates that we have seen so far today. I'm going to have you pan over and look at towards the light because it always paints a better picture. You can kind of see it with the light in the distance, and you can see all the flakes coming down very consistently. And, you know, it wasn't too long ago we had a wind gust come through anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour. Man, it's cold, but you know what? It's enjoyable, and we're finally getting the cold weather that Pennsylvanians have been waiting for, which actually is producing the snow. Now, I have got Vince the Pizza Prince here with us, and he's got the oldest pizza joint in Scranton. That's pretty amazing with how historic this city is.
It is, yeah. It's been quite a ride. It's incredible.
So I got to say, it's a family heirloom.
It is. And our customers, we have some of them that have been coming in for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's amazing. It really is.
And it's a big deal when you have to shut down a store like that a little early because of a snowstorm, and that's what you had to do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we tried. Like we said tonight, we gave it a try, and we just couldn't beat the weather. We don't want our customers coming out in this.
So what's your plan going into tomorrow? I mean, the forecast is still calling. I mean, we'll be anywhere from 4, 6, 7 inches or so here in the valley. Right. So tomorrow, hopefully the plows can do what they need to do, but we could still be looking at snowy roads.
Yeah, and you know what? Our game plan is pretty much if everybody gets cleaned up and cleaned out and they can make it down, we'll open up. But we don't even want my employees coming in if they can't make it in safe. So we'll just play it by ear and see what it looks like tomorrow early afternoon.
Now, not opening has got to be like, oh man, I'm losing revenue. However, this is a pretty good excuse not to open up.
This is pretty cool. I mean, we've been watching you guys all night on shift, and it was like, maybe we're going to just bring them over a pizza and, have some fun with it. And this is just great weather to be out and about. It's just enjoyable. It's fun. It hasn't snowed here in such a while, and that we can remember. So it's fun to be out.
You were raised here, right?
I was raised here, yeah. Born
do you remember as a kid, big snowstorms, school cancellations?
You know what? Over the years, there were some really nice memories. I remember several years ago, you know, the driveway that we had 5-foot snow banks on either side, and then there was years where, you know, we were out with the top off. You know, it was so warm. But yeah, we've had some doozies up where we tend to be in that zone off the East Coast.
And you know, the last couple of years, you haven't really seen anything. It was March 2020 or 2022 when you actually had a 7-incher, and you had to go prior to that to 2020 to get another decent snowstorm.
That's right. Yeah, and you know, I think, you know, as you just mentioned, memorable is going to what was it, 93, 94? You know, that we had those blizzards back to back, and that was a hectic time. There was one time where we actually had a snowbank at our pizzeria that was higher than the vehicles, and I remember my son just climbing up on top of it, and it was amazing. So it is fun. It's like we are kind of in the snow belt.
And you know what? When we get storms like that, I love having memories like that come back, because all of us have those memories, right? You got a snowplow off here doing what they do best, clearing out the roads for us. Hopefully the roads are good to go for tomorrow. Yeah, okay, so if Vinny wants to do a real quick shout out for us, so some family.
Shout out to Alexander, my son, and also to my son Vincent, and congratulations. He just got engaged last week to Morgan, so congratulations, guys.
And you know what, as I send it back to the studio, you know you found someone from a pizzeria when they're wearing shorts because they're sitting inside with an oven all day. That's exactly right.
It's time to go home and put some sweatpants.
That's right. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Jordan. Appreciate it. And let's take a look at what's happening on the radar right now. So we're watching the storm move right along. Unlike some storms, this one is definitely hightailing it as it makes its way up into the northeast. The rain is just about over there in D.C., still coming down in Baltimore. We've got rain in Philly. We've actually had some reports of some heavy rain in southern Jersey and in northern Delaware as well. Icy conditions in Harrisburg. We've got that in Hagerstown as well. Plain old rain at 36 now in Lancaster. So there is going to be that zone of some freezing rain coming up through the lower Susquehanna Valley, also there into eastern Pennsylvania. Snowing now in New York at Central Park. We've had 6 inches so far in Catchtown, 5 inches in Harrisburg. And as we get farther off to the northeast, see the snow now in Bridgeport as well as into Central Park. We've still got some stations not reporting snow in New England. Even as the light snow comes in, it's not quite making it all the way down to the ground, but that's going to change rather dramatically over the next several hours here. In fact, here's the model forecast. I want you to notice that as this arc of heavier moisture drives up towards the tri-state area, the snowfall rates are going to be increasing in eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern New York, southern parts of New England through later tonight. That'll continue into very late tonight. That's 1 o'clock in the morning right in there. Heavy snow there in interior parts of Massachusetts into the Boston area, especially north and west of 495. And also a good bit of wind, too. Winds gusting over 30 plus there as we go through the overnight. Then even into tomorrow, we've got some lingering light snow as an upper level feature comes through. So feeling very much like wintertime here across the Northeast. We'll have much more in the storm coming up in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
It's a cold, hard fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel. Trusted to expertly time out your conditions.
This is the system that is headed your way.
Trusted to be the team that keeps you as ready for winter as we are. It's why America doesn't trust winter coverage to anyone else.
All right, well, we have some new video to share with you here at the Weather Channel. Severe weather today across parts of South Florida. Take a look at the very likely tornado that moved through the Fort Lauderdale metro area just within the last hour. A few vantage points of this. You can see some flashes as the tornado strikes some objects that since moved offshore, but we were getting some looks of likely debris on the radar, and now we are getting video confirmation that we did in fact have a tornado rolling through. Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that when you see a flash like that and a little bit of smoke, you know you got a connection to the ground there.
Yeah, you know, you got something going on. Now another look here. You can actually very clearly, at first you see the funnel. Dr. Forbes used to say if it's about halfway from the cloud to the ground, you likely have that all the way to the surface. And at times it sneaks out. We did have some debris reported, again, both via radar and in some of these pictures. So some damage. They're going to get out there and look. All right, we've got a lot more here and our special coverage. We are tracking 2 winter storms impacting millions of people. And again, severe weather across parts of Florida today. The next winter storm, Finn, is going to be bringing a lot of severe weather, we fear, Carl, for parts of the Gulf Coast. So could we be looking at more scenes like that into Monday of next week? We got a lot to cover for folks tonight.
Yeah, the next storm is actually going to be a lot stronger. So a major winter storm for the Midwest. And we're also looking at a heavy rain threat for a lot of the East Coast. We're going to have more on all of that coming up here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we got tons of people under alerts at this point, thanks to our 2 storms. So Ember, we've got warnings and watches, or warnings and advisories up for parts of the Northeast. Winter storm warning for over 22 million people. Winter storm watch for over 7 million people. Winter weather advisories for nearly 20 million people. Blizzard warnings. Now, notice we've got that up on the screen, and you're like, well, why? Because there are none. We think Winter Storm Finn could prompt some blizzard warnings to be issued tomorrow and into the early part of the week. Here's what we know right now. Airlines are warning people to prepare for flight delays and cancellations courtesy of both storms. Amtrak also modifying its service due to winter storms. New York, they've deployed more than 1,600 large plow trucks statewide to clear roads. Jordan Steele is in Scranton, Pennsylvania right now, one of the areas that is going to get in on some of the heaviest of snow. Jordan, it's a fun evening. The pizza parlor had to close down. Hopefully everybody picked up, pizza last night and you've got the leftovers, and then you just keep the oven, warm, and you
Right.
you reheat that. You keep it going. Keep the dream alive.
Oh, always. I'm always the guy that goes into a restaurant. I see people who don't eat all their food, and I'm like, can I? Is that weird for me to ask if I could have some of that?
I do it too for my dogs.
It looks
I'm
delicious.
like, if you're not going to eat that meat, at least give it to me and I'll give it to my dogs.
Right.
Yeah. Let's not waste food.
It's not right. And of course, it's just helping, right? It's just the leftovers is key. What we've learned today is, a lot of these folks in not only Scranton, but in Lackawanna County, but Pennsylvania in general, have just been, waiting for a system like this to come through for a while, and just kind of getting perspective of what that's been like. Finally seeing a storm that can maybe produce, 4 to 6 inches of snow. We're just now starting to get some reports around Lackawanna County of anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. A lot of that's falling on some of the higher terrain. We do have some ski resorts around us, and the elevation here kind of fluctuates anywhere from about 700 feet up to about 1,500 feet with the Pocono Mountains around here. And so that would make sense. The mountain's getting a little bit more than that. But, you could see something that maybe is uninterrupted. We're kind of getting there. And if we could keep the snowfall rates like we've had today through tonight, we'll wake up tomorrow and we'll definitely have that 4 inches that we're hoping to see, or maybe even more. Now, when we take a look at and what we've been listening to is folks talk about what it's been like to see a storm like this, we actually had a chance to talk with the Lackawanna County Commissioner about what it's been like from his perspective. Listen to this.
Typically, growing up, I spent my whole life here, so we're used to it. But lately, it's been pretty calm and pretty mild. So we'll see if people can get back to what it used to be. But typically, this is what we're used to. So hopefully we won't have any trouble. Our crews are out, are taking good care of the roads. Our county crews, our state crews, we're okay.
I'm fully confident that those crews are doing what is needed to be done to keep those roads cleared for you. Just be careful throughout the night tonight. Alex, I'm going to send it back to you. I wish this snow would last a while, but we know with that next system, it's going to wash all this out and turn it to runoff.
Yeah, so you were telling the skier, get out and enjoy it while you can, because it is not going to stick around long. And then we've got to watch for the concerns for a lot of those rivers, creeks, streams in the area to actually get too high, because that's just going to be a lot of water coming into play. Jordan, thanks so much. Right now, we've got winter storm warnings for parts of the Northeast, and we've got heavy snowfall coming down. 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates here in eastern and central Pennsylvania, southern tier New York, all the way up to about Syracuse. And this does include parts of the upstate as well in northwest Jersey. So we've got some dangerous road conditions. It's going to be tough to see. Could see some of those smaller roads getting covered pretty quickly. Binghamton, 25 degrees. You're not going to have any trouble getting snow on the road. State College, light snow beginning to wrap up for you. The heavier stuff over towards the Lehigh Valley, Poconos, and Wilkes-Barre, Scranton.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Welcome back, everybody. We're tracking Winter Storm Ember. It has been blasting the state of Pennsylvania. We're coming to you live from Scranton here in Lackawanna County, kind of giving you perspective. We had an earlier shot to overview the city. The visibility went down, the sun is set, and now we're in a very beautiful part of the downtown area right by the county courthouse. Everything is lit up, and it looks very picturesque here this evening. In fact, several folks have been out and about. We saw some folks just after they got engaged, take their photos, and it's a beautiful night to enjoy a walk. The wind isn't too bad, which is great because we're into the interior. Now, if you were to go, coast side here in New England, that's a bit of a different story. We're going to be looking at some big gusts out there, and then, of course, everyone's going to be waiting until the next system comes through. But if you are anywhere around Pennsylvania, you're getting snow, I want you to be careful tonight. If you could stay indoors and hang out, tomorrow morning should be better. The snowfall rates will dwindle. Plows will have all night to clear the roads, and hopefully by tomorrow, everything will be good for you to take the kids out and go sledding. Maybe you're going to get up to the ski resort. I think you should do that sooner rather than later. Just kind of seeing what the next winter storm will do. Winter Storm Finn, we talked about the flood threat here in the Lackawanna River, and so I think this is going to be good at least for the next couple of days. We've picked up anywhere from 1 to 3 inches so far in this area. I do think there's been some other spots in the state of Pennsylvania that's picked up more than that. But, Alex, we'll keep this going through the evening tonight and eventually see it taper off into tomorrow. Over to you.
Yeah, so folks enjoying it while it lasts. A pretty evening. A lot of folks just get to stay home on Saturdays, so you don't have to do that rush to or from work. So you get to have a good time, including you, Jordan. But be nice to your producer. Let him throw a couple snowballs at you. We had some flakes flying in the Chicago area, too, and they're getting ready for maybe even beefier snowfall rates. We'll see. This was last night in Joliet. They had about 1/10 of an inch of snow falling in Chicago yesterday, so not huge accumulations, but it sure looked pretty, right? More snow on the way, and a lot of you looking at it like, I sure would like some. Storm is bringing heavy snow and wind to parts of the west through tomorrow. That's Winter Storm Finn. So the second of two, just within a span of a few days. Our storm will intensify on Sunday and to Monday. That's across the plains. So Oklahoma into Texas, we're going to see this storm really deepen, strengthen, and it's going to be a big storm. And snow and wind are expected through the plains and the Midwest through the early to mid part of next week. Water vapor imagery. Here is the system right now. It continues to dive through the four corners, parts of the plains as we move through the second half of the weekend. And again, as it does, it strengthens. This one's going to be a real powerhouse of a system. This could actually prompt blizzard warnings because this thing's going to be tightly wound, and so big winds likely within the snow zone. Snow and wind could lead to some blizzard conditions, as I mentioned, so would not be surprised for parts of the plains or Midwest to go under some of those blizzard warnings. We've got the warm, moist air down towards the Gulf Coast. That would mean severe weather potential. And then there's the heavy rain threat across the Northeast. So areas like Scranton getting in on some big snow could get big rain. That would mean a really awful flood setup courtesy of Finn. But the widespread snow with this one would be from the Great Lakes into the plains. So here we're talking about much more western zones getting in on snow. So this is not going to be a northeast snowstorm by any means. We're talking midwestern and plains cities. And Omaha, Kansas City, Dubuque, Iowa, up to the north and west of Chicago, over to Madison, Wisconsin. Those areas in the light purple, 5 to 8 inch accumulations possible Monday through Wednesday. Again, it doesn't have to be a huge snowfall to get blizzard warnings. Those are due to the low visibilities and strong winds. And we are going to see winds really kicking, especially here into the plains. Look at Monday into Tuesday, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds in Colby, Kansas, St. Louis gusting to 30, 35 miles an hour at times. Des Moines, Milwaukee by Tuesday afternoon, 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts here. So that's going to lead to some big travel problems in addition to the snow. We've also had some severe weather today. Check out the tornado that moved through the Fort Lauderdale metro just within the last hour. Now, obviously, the National Weather Service will get out and determine how strong this was. But you look at this, and that is a tornado, Carl. We've got the funnel. We've got damage happening at the ground. And unfortunately, we've got severe weather with our next system as well, in addition to that heavy rain potential.
Yeah, we got some reports that this is around Las Olas Boulevard there in Fort Lauderdale. And, you know, there was enough wind shear to get things going. This storm was just about ready to move offshore when that tornado spun up. And because of the wind shear, and it's always, you know, more buoyant in Florida, it was enough to get things going. And we did see just a little bit of damage as a result of this storm. That is going to be a worry once again along the Gulf Coast with the next storm that is coming in, the one that Alex just talked about, the southern side of that, pulling moisture in from the Gulf of Mexico. And so we're expecting to see a severe weather threat developing along the Gulf Coast and along this warm front. There it is on Monday. So that severe threat setting up in this area, some very strong winds in the low levels of the atmosphere, and that's going to help to fuel that severe weather threat, which will extend, we think, from southeast Texas into parts of southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, also southern parts of Alabama. Those areas getting hit fairly hard. And then on Tuesday, another strong area of upper level winds coming out into the southeast. And so once again, there could be some severe weather. Not as high of a chance of severe weather, but certainly there will be some potential for that into parts of Georgia, Florida, and also into North Carolina come Tuesday. So a lot to watch with that. And there is a look at the model forecast here showing you how the storms develop starting Monday in the morning and then through the afternoon. Certainly could be some tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings in that area along the Gulf Coast. We'll have much more coming up.
The power of the Weather Channel, now available to everyone.
This is epic!
Trusted live coverage when it matters most is now yours to stream with the Weather Channel TV app. Real-time radar, maps that let you track all the action, and so much more. Available now on these platforms. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
One thing we all need to pay attention to as snow falls is making sure we clear our cars. We're eventually going to get to our weather vehicle here because it's going to take a little bit more time. Also, this one, a little bit more time. But our state constable, who's offering us some protection here today, is offering up his car for us to do the hard work of clearing it off. Now, I will tell you, it's actually a law here in Pennsylvania. You clear the roof, you clear the surfaces of your car, called Jessica's Law, protecting the drivers behind you and yourself from this turning to a slick of ice. So make sure you go across the whole car, and I will promise you, it does not take long to clear off your car. If you just take this cheap brush and go back and forth, the entire roof. And I'm going to go to the other side now, get this cleaned off. I'll go to the other side, do the rest of the roof, and it is easier to do the whole roof first, okay, before you hit the windshields and the back windshield and the hood. So clear off the whole roof, and that's what can turn into those sheets of ice. You probably have all seen them coming off of trucks and other cars, and how dangerous that can be. It can turn into a deadly, deadly thing. So then you want to do the windshield, kind of work from the top down. Brush your windshield wipers off, brush your mirrors off, start getting the hood cleared off. Remember, I mean, look how quickly this is happening. Is it a little bit of work? Yes. Is it worth doing for your safety and the safety of other people? Absolutely. Take the time to do this, if for no other reason that if you don't, you're breaking the law, but also you care about the people behind you, because it can turn into a very dangerous situation. Just a good reminder, clear off that roof. Get your windshields clear.
Indeed, you never want to be a danger to the other folks on the road. Now we look at New York. You're going to change over to rain. We've seen some moderate snow around the New York City area, 35 degrees, so the roads continue to be just wet. So even, Carl, when we've gotten the snow, it's not accumulating. But we got problems headed our way, because the areas that did get big snow or continue to get big snow out of Ember could also get some big rain out of Finn.
Yeah, and we've had some really, serious flash flood events in the tri-state area in recent years. You've got so much concrete and asphalt there in that region. You've also got a lot of saturated ground as of late. You've got the snow coming down now. We've got rain moving in. So this is the flash flood guidance. This tells us how much rain would be necessary to start to produce flash flooding. And you notice that the flash flood guidance is very low there across New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania. That area of orange is where it would take a half of an inch to an inch of rain to cause flash flooding. In red, it would take less than a half of an inch in an hour's time to cause flash flooding. And we've got plenty of snow coming down here and rain moving in as well. Some more substantial rain coming up from the south there. So that's just this event, but we've got another big event on the way. The low pressure center is going to be moving up through the middle Mississippi Valley come Tuesday. And so with that, a big arc of heavy rain coming up into Georgia, the Atlanta metro, the 85 corridor, middle of the day on Tuesday, then moving up into the Carolinas and Virginia later on Tuesday. Then by the time we get into Tuesday evening, that's when that area of heaviest rain starts to move into New Jersey and into New York City. So that really is going to be the critical time later in the day on Tuesday and then into the overnight Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. That's when we could be talking about 2 to 3 inches of rain in total, maybe more than that. And again, falling in areas where the flash flood guidance is very low. It's not going to take that much to cause problems. We're easily going to reach that threshold of half an inch to an inch of rain in 1 hour's time. Then see 5 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, heavier rain comes up into southern New England. And so overall, this is a much, much warmer storm than is the one we're watching right now, which means that rain is going to be coming down in areas where you've got snow coming down now and where there's going to be snow on the ground. There's a lot of water and snow. And so as all that melts, that too is going to be adding to the flood concerns here across the Northeast. Here's a look at the potential for rainfall. And there you see red in there. We're talking about some very heavy rain developing here Tuesday into Wednesday. There's the American model showing you the same thing. So here's a look at the flash flood potential. Now, this could change, and it's actually been surprising to have this out so early. But for Tuesday and Wednesday, there's a likely area of flash flooding right in those very spots where the flash flood guidance is very, very low. Northern New Jersey into the tri-state area, southeastern parts of New York, that could very well expand. That likely area could expand as we go through the next couple of days. So that's just something to keep in mind. This next storm is going to present a serious flood threat for a lot of the Northeast. Here's a look at the model forecast. Rain begins to move in Tuesday afternoon. There you see the rain coming down in Philly, in New York, and Baltimore. By the evening, it's really starting to come down in earnest there in New Jersey and New York. We go into 1 o'clock in the morning. Very strong flow coming out of the south there, delivering that moisture into those areas. And then it's not until early on Wednesday morning that it begins to wind down, Alex. Things beginning to dry out into the middle of the day on Wednesday.
Yeah, but between now and then, very busy. And stay ahead of what's to come with both winter storms with the TWC streaming app. You can find updated alerts, plan around, or cancel the big events in your neighborhood.